What? Did I hear wrong? How can this be? Is Dr. Liu crazy? Or did a problem occur with my ears? Dr. Liu merely said a few words, and everyone turned to look at each other. The young ladies were so shocked that they momentarily forgot they were in the presence of the Empress Dowager as they all exclaimed aloud. The Empress Dowager herself was also shocked. This, by Ruoqi immediately jumped up. Pointing at Dr. Liu's nose, she scolded him. Dr. Liu, you are spitting blood. What do you mean by that? Daring to spout such unfounded lies. Just for the sake of escaping your crimes, you are acting like a mad dog randomly biting people. Her Royal Highness will not believe nonsense such as this. Empress Shu also said, that's right. This is pure slander. Shameless bullying. Not only did you deliberately misdiagnose second young Miss Bai, causing her loss of face, you are now biting her again. This royal wants to ask you, what are you harboring in your heart? Kneeling down in front of the Empress Dowager, Bai Ruoqi cried, Empress Dowager, please seek justice for me. Because of me, Dr. Liu became a persecuted criminal, so he deliberately retaliated and said such word. The Empress Dowager frowned, obviously quite confused by this sudden turn in situation. She felt this was unexpected. The true mastermind Dr. Liu announced, turned out to be Bai Ruoqi? This simply does not make any sense. Why would anyone drug themselves? It seems, like what Bai Ruoqi said was true, Dr. Liu was seeking revenge. The Empress Dowager angrily said, great courage, coming to this point and you still dare to claim such nonsense. Deceiving Ari Jiao like so. You will not shed tears until you see your grave. Empress Shu took this opportunity to add, guards come, drag this death-seeking fool away. Give him 100 heavy strikes first. Empress Dowager, I am innocent. Wronged. I really did not lie. This is all the work of the insidious and vicious Bai Ruoqi. Woo woo woo. Dr. Liu struggled hard, but he was simply no match for the palace guards. Empress Dowager, please allow Dr. Liu to finish his claims, Huang Yuli said unhurriedly. Bai Ruoqi glared at her fiercely and shouted, Bai Ruoli, what do you mean by that? This quack doctor hurt your sister so miserably, but you insist on helping him? You, do you even consider me as your elder sister? A few tears appearing on her tender face, along with slightly red eyes, she looked accusingly at Huang Yuli. As the Empress Dowager frowned, Bai Ruoqi felt proud. Well, I'll let you pretend this sisterly bond. You can act no longer. Huang Yuli reluctantly shook her head and sighed, second sister, how can you say such a thing? Sister, I'm so sad for I truly hold good intentions. The reason being my insistence of keeping Dr. Liu is all but for my second sister, for me. Bai Ruoqi gritted her teeth, do not lie. You just cannot bear to see me well, right? Feigning an injured look, Huang Yuli turned to look at the Empress Dowager. Empress Dowager, it really is for the good of my sister. Although Dr. Liu's claims are very discreditable, his lie is very flawed. If we were to take Dr. Liu away, what will we do if the mastermind goes and poisons him to death? When she heard this, a flash of surprise passed through the Empress Dowager's eyes. Li girl, Ari Jiao has underestimated you. Thinking so carefully, even taking such things into account. Huang Yu shyly looked down and modestly replied, Your Highness is overpraising me. You can also listen on. This girl isn't too bad. Thinking so considerately for your sister, the Empress Dowager smiled at Huang Yuli and nodded. Turning around, she looked at Bai Ruoqi with cold eyes. Unfortunately, it seems your sister does not appreciate it. Bai Ruoqi not help but shiver. She became aware that her overeager desire to pull down Huang Yuli had caused the Empress Dowager to feel repulse. In the Empress Dowager's eyes, that little slut became even more innocent, while she became a wicked sister. Once again, she fell into Huang Yuli's word pit. Bai Ruoqi quickly said, Empress Dowager, you misunderstood. Chia is just too impatient. I know that my third sister is doing this for my own good. Third sister here will apologize to you. You do not mind, right? Huang Yuli replied with a smile, do not mind. Since second sister is so anxious to know the truth, we cannot waste time. Let Dr. Liu continue his confession. The Empress Dowager nodded her head. Precisely. Quickly, bring the person back. Bai Ruoqi anxiously threw glances towards Empress Shu. Huang Yuli saw all this happen and said, "Second sister, if Dr. Liu says anything disrespectful, you cannot be too triggered. Allow him to finish, before claiming your innocence. Empress Dowager, I am afraid that my elder sister cannot control her emotions. So later on, please allow me to complete the questioning." Empress Dowager agreed. "Very well, I give you permission. When you are talking, no is to interrupt." Unexpectedly, Bai Ruoqi had lost her cool so easily, completely devoid of any royal bearing. From the situation, no matter in terms of bearing, speaking, or attitude, this Li girl is vastly superior than Bai Ruoqi. Worthy of being the daughter of Bai Liu Feng. Running on her wits' end, Bai Ruoqi almost fainted. However, the Empress Dowager had passed her commands. She no longer held any power to stop this. Dr. Liu, on the other hand, believed that he was destined to die. And just as he was about to endure his 100 beatings, he truly did not expect for another chance to be given to him. This time, he did not even give his courtesies and directly tried his best to finish his sentence. 3 days ago, second young Miss Bai asked me to meet her at the tea house. She gave me a lot of money and asked me to give her a strong medicine that would stimulate blood flow. She then told me that she will frame her third sister at the peach blossom banquet. At that time, what? Bai Ruoqi? What is going on? This can't be right. Bai Ruoqi wants to frame her own cousin. Why? He just opened mouth and released such a bomb. One after the other, loud draws of breath echoed through the room. Even the Empress Dowager could not help but interrupted him. "You wait, you say Chia wished to frame Leah. So she asked for your assistance?" Yes, I heard very clearly. Second young Miss Bai wished to harm her third sister, because her third sister made her lose face at 1,000 Treasure Pavilion's auction the other day. Furthermore, third young Miss Bai once held an oral agreement of engagement with the Crown Prince. Harboring hard feelings, second young Miss Bai, what? There was such a thing. The Empress Dowager said in surprise. The audience also whispered about. In this case, it is really possible. I went to 1,000 Treasure Pavilion's auction and such a thing really did happen. Yes. It is normal to resent the other party for making you lose face, right? Then didn't Bai Ruoqi deserve it? Just now when she said she wished to reconcile with Bai Ruoqi, it turned out to be false. Such hypocrisy. You can also listen on. You, baseless slandering. Listening to all the discussion and variety of despising eyes, Bai Ruoqi could no longer control herself and jumped up. Your Highness, you must listen to Chia. Things are not like this. With large strides, Huang Yuli walked to her side with a look of concern. Second sister, do not become excited. Did I not tell you just then? No matter what Dr. Liu will say, do not take it to heart. Regardless of his claims, the truth will eventually come to light. No one is wronging you. You, the person who wants to wrong me, is it not you? Second sister, I have not said anything towards you. Enough. The Empress Dowager interrupted the two. It was already agreed that Leah will do the questioning. No one is to intervene. Now settle down for Ari Jio. Whoever dares to speak again, will leave immediately. The onlookers hurriedly shut their mouths. Facing Dr. Liu again, Huang Yuli spoke with great righteousness. Dr. Liu, how can you sow dissension, ruining the bond between sisters? I grew up with second sister, so our relationship is very intimate. Do you think that a casual few lying words will make us suspect each other? Let me tell you, you are wrong. Listening to this, Dr. Liu turned even more anxious. Feeling resentful for not reaching his expectations, he continued, Third young Miss Bai, why are you so foolish? Do you really think that second Miss Bai is truly good to you? She has been secretly plotting against you, okay? Can you grow some brains? Don't help count the money after being scammed. Bai Ruoqi almost fainted. In the end, who was the scammer and the one helping to count the money? It's Dr. Liu himself, okay? This damn girl is so insidious. Not scamming others would be good enough. If she was considered foolish, then are no smart people in this world. However, no one could hear Bai Ruoqi's voice. With a face full of anger, Huang Yuli replied with shaking hands, "Do not speak nonsense. How can second sister plot against me? Simply nonsense." Her attitude stimulated Dr. Liu further. The more she disbelieved him, the more determined Dr. Liu became to show her the truth. "Humph, she will not plot against you. Let us talk about today's affair. If you think about it, did second Miss Bai personally invite you to drink wine? And then immediately faint? It was no accident. I just do not know why. She was foolish enough to take the wrong glass and drink the drug herself." As Huang Yuli recalled the events, a look of shock appeared on her face. If she was hit with great force, she staggered and almost fell to the ground. "Impossible, it cannot be, must have been caused by others. Second sister did not know her wine was drugged." "Oh, you still do not believe? Well, even though there is no evidence, do not feel anything. When you were in poor health, every time you wanted to visit the royal palace, you will fall faint with a fever. Do you think it was due to your own health? That was the work of Bai Ruoqi. Every time she would come to me for a prescription, hindering your trips every single time." "What? How is that possible? You are talking absolute nonsense. You think you can speak without evidence. Oh well. The last time someone said you were having an immoral relationship with Iran, but do you know how you ended up in the back courtyard? It is all because of your second sister. She drugged you. As for this sleeping powder, it happened to be me who provided her with it." The more Dr. Liu spoke, the more vigorous his tone became. Like spilled beans, he revealed all of the past deeds Bai Ruoqi conducted against her. You can also listen on. He was just too angry. He had done so much for the Madam of Wu Wei Manor and Bai Ruoqi, but the result? Bai Ruoqi instantly betrayed as soon as difficulties arose. Empress Shu as well. Ordering for him to receive beatings without any proof. Well, since he didn't have much left for him, then he might as well go for broke and expose everything. The banquet 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that in that manner, one affair after the other, one piece after the other, Dr. Liu revealed everything down to the tiniest detail. When these words were spoken, it shocked everyone present. Even with the Empress Dowager's command of silence, they could not help themselves but speak out. "God, these are not real, are they? You really can't see. Bai Ruoqi turned out to be such a sinister woman. But at the end, why did she go plot against her own cousin? How can you not understand this? Is it not because of jealousy? Bai Ruoli is the daughter of Bai Liu Feng, born a much higher status than her. Though they are both from Wu Wei Manor, when you compare the two, the difference is like east and west. In other words, the reason behind Bai Ruoli's inability to cultivate is because of her. Otherwise, with the innate talents of her parents, she shouldn't be a wastrel. For this point, everyone had wronged Bai Ruoqi. Bai Ruoli's inability to cultivate mainly originated from her constitution. However, with things reaching this point, no one will think that Bai Ruoqi is unrelated to this matter. No matter how she proved her innocence, rumors would have spread through the capital by tomorrow. As Bai Ruoqi listened to her various misdeeds being exposed, she became extremely panicked. It was with great difficulty that she barely controlled her emotions. It wasn't until the earlier accusation that she finally burst out. "What nonsense are you talking? This is pure slander, slander. I have not done that. Do not believe that words of that quack. Che. Whether or not it is true, he is still a court doctor. Why would he know so many affairs of Wu Wei Manor? That right, that right. There are hidden schemes involved." As Bai Ruoqi angrily debated, it did zero effect in proving her claims. In fact, it solidified her guilty conscience to the crowd. Huang Yuli smiled ambiguously, but she kept that smile hidden. For the audience, she collapsed in her seat and began to mutter incoherently. "Impossible, this is impossible. Whatever you say, I will not believe it." Kneeling on the ground, Court Dr. Liu loudly said, "Empress Dowager, this official swears that he speaks the truth. All this was caused by Bai Ruoqi herself. You cannot allow yourself to be cheated by her." The Empress Dowager was shaking all over. With a loud crash, The cup and dishes were swept to the ground, smashing to pieces. Well, so this is how Wu Wei manner treats Bai Liu Feng's daughter. Did you forget how your title was obtained? If such a thing did not happen, who knows how long Ari Jiao would be left in the dark. So the Li girl had been bullied so much in her own home. If Huang Yuli were to lament over her experiences today, the Empress Dowager may doubt the latter, but completely trust her words. But now, such words originated from a third party, the credibility turned much higher. Huang Yuli really did not expect there to be such an unexpected gain. She merely wished for a dogfight between Bai Ruoqi and Dr. Liu. But who would expect Doctors Liu Bite to be this good, knowing such large amount of insider information? You can also listen on. The Empress Dowager could hardly believe her ears. She had been made a fool and lied to for so many years. The fact stood, the Empress Dowager and the Emperor were people who cherished the past. They still very much treasured the friendship with Bai Liu Feng. After all, 7th-level super experts would generally leave their country of birth and set off to the center of South Sky region. They were not somebody the small country of South you could keep. Bai Liu Feng, however, held quite a lot of righteousness. Due to a friendship with the Emperor from their childhood, he continued to remain in South Yu. It was also due to his presence that quite a few surrounding royal families, absolute hegemon countries, did not dare to provoke them. After the disappearance of Bai Liu Feng, the Empress Dowager remained very concerned for his only daughter. In those days, Bai Liu Feng and Bai Liu Jing were the model example of brothers. No one would imagine that she would suffer any abuse if left under her uncle's care. When she heard the girl was weak in health, the Empress Dowager became further worried. She did not wish to disturb her recuperation. How was she to know that the manor would pull so many underhanded tricks? However, the reality was, the Empress Dowager's care for Bai Liu Feng's daughter was secondary. The main reason behind her extreme anger was the extent of time she had been fooled. More than 10 years. No one liked to be played a fool, say nothing of the Empress Dowager. This was a capital offense, lying to the monarchy. Empress Dowager, calm your anger. I really, can explain. Bai Ruoqi hurriedly kneeled down on the ground as cold sweat rolled down her forehead. Then drop by drop, they splashed onto the ground. She really did not expect Dr. Liu to be so daring, blabbering everything out. She was down for this time. Her mistreatment of third sister was a criminal offense, and her impression within the Empress Dowager's heart would become sinister and cunning woman. Once it reached the ears of the Emperor, she would no longer have any chance to become the Crown Prince's imperial concubine. If things were to advance in severity, might also affect the reputation of Wu Wei manor. She was really finished this time. Empress Dowager gasped angrily, explain? Ari Jiao wants to hear how you will explain yourself. Bai Ruoqi bite down her tongue and tears came tumbling down her face. She said chokingly, Empress Dowager, you have always treated Chia the best. How can you listen to an outsider, then directly condemn Chia? Looking at her cry, the Empress Dowager fell to a loss. This was the girl she watched grow up from young. So as the Empress Dowager watched her cry so miserably, she inadvertently became a little shaken. Did she really wrong her? Her tone softened a little. In that case, you must have a good explanation. If you cannot explain everything clearly, you cannot blame Ari Jiao. Yes. Bai Ruoqi's heart beat quickly as she thought. She had to find a good reason for today, otherwise. Eyes flashing, she came up with a vicious idea. Current schedule, 6 regular happy doses a week. You can also listen on. Huang Yuli was a bit surprised. Bai Ruoqi unexpectedly came up with this trick. Worthy of being her cousin, smart enough, but also shameless enough. In a timely manner, Huang Yuli made a frightened expression. Staring with a pair of innocent eyes, she confidently said, Second sister, you. How can you say that? How can I slander you? She bit her pinky lower lip, about to burst into tears. In the Empress Dowager's eyes, her heart felt more pity when she thought of her many years of grievances. Li girl, do not be sad. Ari Jiao believes you are not such a person. Chia, how can you say that about your sister? Ari Jiao really did not think you were such a person. Empress Dowager, you are too biased. Chia has evidence. Bai Ruoqi grinded her teeth, loudly crying out in defense. Before Chia fainted, she only drank that cup of wine with third sister. So she suspects the likelihood of her poisoning the wine is the largest. Surprised a moment, the Empress Dowager looked back at Huang Yueli. Is that true? Huang Yueli said, yes, we did drink a cup. But it was obviously second sister who came to me. The cups and jugs were also provided by her. Furthermore, second sister is such a powerful cultivator. How do I have the ability poison her, under her eyes? You mean, I poisoned it myself and drank the poison? Am I stupid? Huang Yueli pursed her mouth, a look of innocence plastered. You are calling yourself stupid, I did not say. Hearing these words, a lot of people could not help themselves and laughed out. PFFTTT, it's too funny. There are still people who call themselves stupid. Red-faced, Bai Ruoqi could not believe that a moment's carelessness caused her to fall into Huang Yueli's trap. You are mocking me. When Dr. Liu came over, is it not you who suggested the idea of examining via silk sheet? If you do not have ulterior motives, why do you perform such superfluous things? Clearly you and Dr. Liu are in cahoots with each other. What I am colluding in? Huang Yueli displayed an innocent expression. Second sister, the examination through a silk sheet was indeed my proposal, but I did that under the consideration for your good name. After all, your area of bleeding, that place. If the court doctor were to see, what do you mean? Besides, I really do not understand why during the examination of silk sheet, Dr. Liu would misdiagnose. Are you implying that he would not misdiagnose if he saw the patient's face? In the end, who is his target? A pair of curious eyes, Huang Yueli asked in a very confused manner. She needed Bai Ruoqi to clear these doubts. Faced with this question, Bai Ruoqi met with a sudden loss of word. She did not expect Huang Yueli's reaction to be so fast. Once again seizing the flaws in her word. If Dr. Liu saw Bai Ruoqi and thus did not misdiagnose, it would only serve to further consolidate the hidden mastermind. Wouldn't that mean she be unable to break from that suspicion, Bai Ruoqi? In attempts to gloss over this topic, Bai Ruoqi continued, in short, only the two of us drank. If the poisoner isn't me then it is her, and naturally I would not poison myself. The suspect would fall to Bai Ruoqi and she has quite large motive for this. Oh, what motive? The Empress Dowager asked. Everyone also erected their ears. Bai Ruoqi loudly said, Bai Ruoqi has always considered herself as the fiancée of the crown prince. So she wanted to eradicate me, one of her competitors. Current schedule, 6 regular happy doses a week. You can also listen on. Wow, 2 sisters fighting over a man. This is a really rare show. In order to be the imperial concubine, both have torn their faces. Who would you is saying the truth in the end? Wu Wei Hofu face really lost a big deal this time. All kinds of whispers echoed. Not only did Bai Ruoqi and Empress Shu's faces turn ugly looking, even the Empress Dowager's turned darker and darker. She forcefully hit the table, exclaiming, all of you shut your mouths. Bai Ruoqi, what are you talking about? What competition for the imperial concubine? Is this something an upstanding young girl like you should say? Bai Ruoqi was startled, and quickly fell to her knees. She also knew that it was very shameful to say such a thing. But she had lost enough face anyway. Why can that little slut Bai Ruoqi remain virtuous? Losing face, let's do it together. In all today, she is determined to pour a bucket of dirty water onto Bai Ruoqi as well. Bai Ruoqi disregarded everything and said, Your Royal Highness, Chia also knows this is something I shouldn't say, but if it is not said, we may never know the truth. In recent years, the reason why we did not allow third sister to enter the palace was not only because of her poor health. It was also due to countless of ugly things, only hidden because of my father. We were afraid she would do shameful things in the royal palace, so Huang Yueli looked coldly on at Bai Ruoqi's performance and felt a bit of admiration. At a time like this, she was able to respond quickly with such a story. Struggling on her deathbed, this sort of psychological quality is really good. It is too shameless. Empress Dowager, you do not know, But a month ago, third sister had a scandal. It occurred in the back garden of the manor and was witnessed by quite a lot of people. When she did such a thing, she was afraid that it would travel to the crown prince's ears and affect her chances of becoming his imperial concubine. Not only did she intend to harm my standing, she also wished to wash herself clean. Empress Dowager, if this was planned in advance, why does she insist on Dr. Liu's presences again and again? This is her plot. You cannot be tricked by her. Crying, by Ruoqi seemed to be really suffer a great injustice. Cold-faced, the Empress Dowager did not interrupt her, but allowed her to finish. Seeing she did not speak, by Ruoqi bit down and loudly said, "Your Highness, you must take action for Chia." Huang Yueli let her finish and secretly hooked the corners of her mouth. Since Ruo by love acting so much, then they will act together. Choking out a few drops of tears, her eyes turned red eyes. Second sister, I really did not expect this. I usually respect you, yet you think of me like this. It's okay, I do not want to say anything more. What you want to think, you can think. Saying, she clutched her chest and tottered. Leah, what happened to you? Go and support third Miss Bai. Queen Mother was shocked and instructed the palace ladies to hold her. However, Huang Yueli did not give them the chance to hold her. Leaning over the edge, she fell to the ground. She secretly felt lucky, her pale face instantly bleached, pale as white paper. What's wrong with Li girl? Hurry, the court doctors to examine her. After a burst of chaos, the court doctor gave their diagnosis. Your Royal Highness, third young Miss Bai fainted due to a heart attack. This was caused from anger. You can also listen on. The events that occurred in the courtyard were not explicitly said out, but of those present, not one did not understand the hidden meaning of those words. That is to say, Huang Yueli's fainting was caused from Bai Ruoqi's shameless remarks. The Empress Dowager was naturally biased towards Huang Yueli, mainly due to her absence for the past 10 years. And the chances of her colluding with Dr. Liu really weren't that high. However, with Bai Ruoqi's half-true and half-false tearful lamentations, the Empress Dowager became a little puzzled. Of the two girls, one must be the mastermind, though the likelihood of Bai Ruoqi was much larger. But why would she take such a big risk to frame her younger sister in the palace? Just how much hatred and resentment was there? Bai Ruoqi often accompanied the Empress Dowager in the palace, so she was reluctant to believe that a girl she quite liked would turn out to be such an insidious and sinister viper-like woman. However, it was during the moment of wavering, Huang Yueli suddenly fainted. Taking a step back to advance, really more persuasive than what words could accomplish are. If Huang Yueli and Bai Ruoqi were to exchange tit for tat, it would solidify the reality of a grudge between the two sisters. If both parties could not tolerate each other, then naturally there would hidden reason why. No matter how reasonable Huang Yueli was, no matter how eloquent, it will inevitably reduce themselves to a bunch of shrews. This would also make it much more difficult to convince the Empress Dowager. But the tables had completely turned with her loss of consciousness. To outsiders, unable to accept that her beloved and respected elder sister would be so wicked to her, she fainted in a fit of shock. As a result, Bai Ruoqi became the wicked one. Even if both sides held no evidence, with the current situation, coupled with Dr. Liu's allegations, Bai Ruoqi's image had truly become a vicious and cousin-bullying elder sister. The Empress Dowager looked at Huang Yueli's pale face and felt endlessly distressed. This child, too pitiful. Entering the palace for the first time in more than a decade, but to have met with so many things, obviously kind-hearted, but was misunderstood by her cousin. Doctor Who, prescribe her some medicine all right? Doctor Who responded, the Empress Dowager, third young Miss Bai's body is not good. Her qi and blood is poor, seemingly to have suffered a very serious internal injury. When this is coupled with long-term malnutrition, it would naturally lead to such a situation. Hearing this, the Empress Dowager turned even more angry. Was this not evidence to support Dr. Liu's claims? If it weren't for Wu Wei Manor's bullying of the Li girl, how could she, a dignified manor daughter, be injured and suffer malnutrition? This is too much. Hu Yuanxia, give the Li girl a few pills and nurse her back to health. Lacking any rare herbs, you may go directly to the royal treasury to retrieve it. Bai Liu Feng has saved this queen's life several times. And what is the result? Not even knowing his daughter is being bullied. Hurriedly, Doctor Who wrote down the prescription and went to retrieve the necessary ingredients. For this part, the Empress Dowager wrongly accused Bai Ruoqi. Malnutrition is indeed a reason, but Bai Ruoqi had been constantly poisoned from young, so her body really was not that good. But those obvious internal injuries, in fact, were from Huang Yueli's forced attempt to break through to the defensive profound realm that day. But due to her failed attempt, the striking to the breakthrough damaged her dantian. On this matter, not a dime was related with Bai Ruoqi. Poor Bai Ruoqi, forced to carry another black pot, but could not get rid of it. Empress Dowager Huang Yu away, turned their gaze Bai Ruoqi. Your sister has fainted from anger. What else can you say? You can also listen on. Stunned to see Huang Yueli act this away, Bai Ruoqi fell to a loss and did not know how to react. She really did not think Huang Yueli would resort to such a trick. It wasn't until Doctor Who finished Huang Yueli's examination did she finally react and realize that she was in big trouble again. This was not the first day of knowing that damn girl. Would she really faint? It was nothing more than a deliberate attempt to frame her. That little slut turned out to be so clever and such a talented actor. To come up with such a move really left 100 mouths speechless. Bai Ruoqi trembled all over. When she heard the Empress Dowager's questions, she bit down on her teeth and used all her energy to kowtow. Your Royal Highness, Chia is really innocent. Bai Ruoqi, she is faking it. She really isn't what? Empress Dowager said with a severe tone. Bai Ruoqi, Jiao really liked you before. I did not expect you would be such a sinister girl. Doctor Who has already diagnosed her with internal injuries. You better honestly confess yourself. Was it not you who wounded her? No, not me. How could it be me? I did not beat her at all. With a green and white complexion, Bai Ruoqi honestly did not know where Huang Yueli's internal wounds came from. Furthermore, the last time she went to cause trouble, not only did she fail to hurt Huang Yueli, but was turned into a pig. She really was not Huang Yueli's opponent. However, these words could not sound any faker in the ears of others. Bai Ruoqi was a cultivator at the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm, whereas Huang Yueli was a wastrel. Bai Ruoqi was unable to defeat her third sister. Because she could not find an excuse, she began to shamefully deny everything, right? The Empress Dowager's face became even more ugly. I did not expect not a single truth to come from your mouth. Jiao is much too disappointed in you. Feeling her heart turn cold, Bai Ruoqi's clothes were soaked in cold sweat. She kowtowed and desperately tried to argue. Your Highness, you must believe Chia. It is Bai Ruoqi who framed me. She fancies the position of imperial concubine, so she colluded with Dr. Liu. Her fainting is also planned. You cannot believe her. Empress Shu also aided hurriedly. Yes, Empress Dowager, things have yet to be figured out. So how can we determine the cause of Bai Ruoqi's fainting is due to Chia? We must gather all evidence before determining Chia's sin. Allow Leah to gather and present evidence. Or it will be empty mouth protests. How does that sound? As Dr. Liu listened to this reversal of black and white, he became anxious beyond belief. Empress Dowager, this humble servant ensures everything he has said is nothing but the truth. This humble one the witness are. If you say you are a witness, you are a witness. You are basically in cahoots with my third sister. If you have the ability, why don't you take out some material evidence? Bai Ruoqi retorted. Dr. Liu was temporarily speechless. This, material evidence. Yes, You claimed that I started framing my third sister several years ago, and I have also requested you to do many immoral things. What proofs do you have? Without a shred of evidence, you dare say that you didn't purposely plot against me? Looking at his dull expression, Bai Ruoqi suddenly found some little confidence. Her meeting with Dr. Liu was secretly planned. Every time they were very careful, no witnesses or traces behind. It can be assumed that there would be no testimonials available to back up Dr. Liu's claims. You can also listen on. Sure enough, after frowning for a good while, Dr. Liu was left speechless. His forehead continued to have cold sweat run down continuously. Bai Ruoqi's eyes suddenly shone with hope. How did she not think of this earlier? What Dr. Liu was saying earlier was nothing more than pure slander. If he really wanted to solidify her sins, he still needed to rely on facts. Any so-called confessions were useless. What? Can't take out anything? Due to lack of evidence, it means you are framing me. Explain yourself. Why did you frame this lady? Your purpose for harming my good name, what is it? Is it because a certain someone wishes to become the crown prince's imperial concubine, so she came to find you for help? I am not falsely accusing anyone. It is you who wishes to the imperial concubine, thus harming others. Then take out the evidence. Take it out for me to see. I can swear to God, every word I said is true. Otherwise I will be struck down by heavenly lightning. Previously you just committed a crime against the monarchy. A vow, what use is there? Under by Ruoqi's pressing questions, Dr. Liu took in a sharp breath. He was not her opponent at all. Huang Yueli wrinkled her eyebrows slightly. Bai Ruoqi did not make a mistake. Dr. Liu was truly unable to obtain evidence, so it is impossible to confirm her as guilty. As a dignified Marquis daughter, if she can be taken down by only a few words from a sinning doctor, that must be a joke. Nonetheless, Huang Yueli's purpose had been reached. Bai Ruoqi had lost all face today, and in the presence of so many young ladies, almost all of them daughters of some minister. Once outside of the palace walls, her shameful actions will spread throughout the entire country. After today, she will become the object of ridicule by all, no longer able to put up the pretense of a cold immortal fairy. Moreover, the beautiful image of Bai Ruoqi the Empress Dowager had of her, has also completely shattered. Even if there is no irrefutable evidence, the Empress Dowager has already made it very clear that it was all irrelevant. Empress Dowager felt that it is absolutely impossible for such a viper-like woman to become the palace's imperial concubine. The emperor is very filial to his mother. If there is fierce opposition from his mother, Bai Ruoqi's chances to become imperial concubine is basically zero. And her purpose had always been the prevention of Bai Ruoqi's ascension to imperial concubine. This being the case, her final act against Bai Ruoqi was almost complete. Today's act and show was to portray her as a weak and little girl, and with a tired appearance. It was about time to wrap things up. Huang Yueli secretly yawned a little. Then, with her eyes slit open, she began to moan softly. The Empress Dowager immediately went to her side. Leah, you finally woke up. How do you feel? Does your chest still feel uncomfortable? Huang Yueli shook her head while clutching the chest. She seemed to struggle up. Leah, lie down. Do not get up. Huang Yueli shook her head and said, Your Highness, Leah is okay. Just then, second sister and Dr. Liu's words, I heard them. Bai Ruoqi immediately sneered, Well, since you heard them, what else is there to say? Can you come up with evidence to prove Dr. Liu's claims? Huang Yueli looked at her, then looked at the Empress Dowager. She then slowly shook her head. No, I cannot. I have no evidence. With great pleasure, Bai Ruoqi almost jumped up. Since there is no evidence, then you must I was framed. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli bit her lips and whispered, Second sister, I. Bai Ruoqi looked at her pale face and assumed that she had scared her. She couldn't help but feel proud. Hehe, as I said earlier, I did not do those things. And you guys wished to splash dirty water on me. What will you do now? Regret it? Let me tell you, it's too late. Believing that Huang Yueli was at her rope's end, Bai Ruoqi regained her initiative. Continuously talking, she hoped to overpower her in this momentum, framing her cousin and doing so many secret things. Quickly knelt down and apologized to the Empress Dowager. Only then will I consider opening the net from the side, to allow the horse to escape. How about it? Quickly do it. Huang Yueli maintained her calm expression. She sighed deeply and softly said, Second sister, I have no evidence. Even if there were evidence, I would not bring them out. Today's events, whether or not done by you, it does not matter. I do not want to pursue whose fault it is. If you insist it was due to your younger sister's treacherous intent, then I. The more she spoke, the softer her voice became until it became nothing more than chokes. Seeing her this way, the Empress Dowager immediately felt very uncomfortable. Look at how pathetic this girl is. From young till now, she has had no father or mother, alone in the manor while also bullied by uncle and cousins. Now that her second sister has climber over her head, with various reasons to slander her and throw dirty water on her, she continues to be so pure and kind. Not wanting to account for anything, just wishing to rest the matter. In contrast, Ruoqi has already been identified but unwillingly to forget the matter and continue to quibble. Both young ladies from the Bai family, yet there was such a gap. Taking Huang Yueli's hand, the Empress Dowager patted it gently and said, "Li girl, Ari Jiao understands your intentions, but the country has its laws. If there really is a crime, the proper investigations must occur." Be as it may, Ruoqi was still a child she had watched grow up. Furthermore, she once appreciated this girl. The Empress Dowager had always had a kind heart. So when the time approached to deal with things appropriately, she could not bear it a little. Ruoqi practically spit out blood. Why could that damned girl act so well? Every time when she assumed she had gained the upper hand, about to win, a few words from Huang Yueli had changed cliff-hanging positions. Time and again, she could not make a comeback. Was this damn girl her nemesis? Why was she unable to kill her? Instead it was she who suffered. Now, she was once again overturned by this damned girl. Was today the day where her reputation truly swept the ground? Teeth clenched, Ruoqi desperately worked her mind. No matter what was said, she is only a step away from the position of Crown Prince's imperial concubine. She absolutely must be condemned by the Empress Dowager today. As long as it was not today. Maybe Ruoqi's thoughts were too strong, or it may be something she did not deserve. Not knowing what to do, Jiu Li suddenly spoke up from the corner. She whispering into the Empress Dowager's ear, she said a few words. Empress Dowager, Eunuch Qin just came to report that the banquet in the Palace of Peace and Tranquility is ready. The Emperor and Imperial Empress are waiting in the palace. They are requesting for you and the ladies to, what? It's already at the Wu hour? How does the time fly so fast? The Empress Dowager asked in surprise. It is already 2/4 past the Wu hour. Seeing no movement from you, the Emperor sent someone to ask. You can also listen on. The Empress Dowager's face sank. To be honest, she wanted to investigate the root of this matter clearly today. And to also take this opportunity to teach Ruoqi a lesson. However, the Peach Blossom Banquet is top priority. The Emperor and Imperial Empress were waiting for them in the Palace of Peace and Tranquility. She must take into consideration the overall goal. And like Ruoqi said, there is no evidence. The things Dr. Liu said were all things from long ago. So if they wished to find material evidence, it would take more than a day or two. While the Emperor's side could not wait. Weighing the trade-offs, the Empress Dowager let out a sigh. For such a disgraceful thing to occur today, it has wasted so much time. Enough, first escort Dr. Liu to prison. Tell the Department of Justice to interrogate him strictly. Saying this, she swept her cold gaze over Ruoqi. Today's affairs are not over yet. Ari Jiao believes that the Ministry of Justice will be able to deliver an answer to this case. When that time comes, the criminal will be crystal clear. Who framed their own sister, Ari Jiao will definitely not spare her. Finished, the Empress Dowager stood up and did not give a second glance to Ruoqi. Bringing with her Empress Shu and a group of palace eunuchs and maids. Grandly, she walked to the Palace of Peace and Tranquility. Awakened by the conclusion, the various young ladies remembered their purpose today. Seeing such a fantastic shows, all the ups and downs of a drama, many people forgot the purpose of their gathering, to participate in the selection of the various imperial concubine. Quickly grooming themselves, they were led by the numerous palace ladies to catch up with the Empress Dowager. By fluke, Ruoqi escaped. Her face pale, she only felt her back clothes completely soaked with cold sweat. With the laughter of the various groups of young ladies, they continued to talk about scandal with great vigor. Their sounds were not controlled, as you could hear their discussions from far away. I did not expect by Ruoqi to be such a person and to be exposed the Empress Dowager. Today's peach blossom banquet, it shouldn't be related to her anymore, right? That is sure. How can the Empress Dowager make His Royal Highness marry this kind of woman, becoming his imperial concubine? Bai Ruoqi has always considered the position of the Crown Prince's imperial concubine to be hers. Did not expect she would be the first to be eliminated. In other words, one must behave with integrity. When the marriage is not set, one cannot be so arrogant. She's disgraced now, right? Fuming mad with rage, Bai Ruoqi could only follow and hide at the very back. Usually, she was the most favored for the limelight, walking at the very front. But now, she with her reputation, she could only avoid the crowd. Or the peculiar gazes from around would make her die from shame. It wasn't until most people have already left, did Bai Ruoqi bite her teeth to catch up. Although such a thing happened, the concubine had yet to be selected. She will not give up. Although it is obvious the Empress Dowager will strongly oppose her becoming the imperial concubine at Peach Blossom Banquet, but she still has cards to play. A few days prior, she took a bottle of spirit cleansing pills. After a night of bitter cultivation, she successfully broke through 2 levels in a row. She is now at the Qi Profound 9th level. Think of her opportunity to show off her strength at the Peach Blossom Banquet. She imagined the surprised and speechless look of the Empress Dowager. Thinking of this, Bai Ruoqi sneered in her heart. So what if her name is bad? Almost punished? In the Tianling continent, to gain respect, power, was absolute. You can also listen on. Second sister, what are you doing here? Where are you feeling uncomfortable? As Bai Ruoqi was getting ready to catch up with the group, she did not expect to hear most annoying sound from behind her. Immediately, like cat whose tail was pulled, she almost jumped up. You, damn girl, it's you. Why have you not left? Huang Yu blinked and wretchedly said, I just fainted. Although I ate some pills, I still feel a little faint. I decided to go a little slower. What about you, second sister? You also fainted. Do you not feel comfortable? Do need to go home to rest? Go home to rest. Bai Ruoqi sneered. What? Plotting against me today, you feel very proud. Thinking not only I will not be selected, but I also lost a lot of face today. So the only option is to escape back home. Let me tell you, you are wrong. Huang Yueli lazily replied, second sister what are you talking about? We all know, in the end who is plotting who. You were the one to smash your own foot, how can blame me Huang Yueli said the truth, but Bai Ruoqi apparently do not think so. She would not think she was at fault, hence there was no need to be taught a lesson. In her opinion, today's incident was all due to Huang Yueli. She was both victimized by this little slut. She said in a cold voice, oh, now you are proud, thinking that using this tactic will give fame and fortune, thus allowing to sit on the position of imperial concubine? I beg you, before you go pee, first look at yourself. You nothing but a piece of trash. No matter how good your acting skills, it will never be yours. Huang Yueli shrugged and said indifferently, in your eyes, the crown prince is a peak genius. Someone you need to obtain no matter the means. But for me, he nothing. For your own short-sightedness, please do not think that I am someone like you. 5th grade talent, the crown prince? Was it worthy of her cherishing? As expected, Bai Ruoqi has not experienced the world. Not even mentioning her flame spirit physique, even in her past life, the crown prince was worth no more than her little finger. She, no matter how careless in selecting she was, she would not be able to find such a low-quality man. Moreover, as a 9th-tier armament master's taste was extremely high. Huang Yueli said another big truth. Unfortunately, no one believed her. Bai Ruoqi looked at her with eyes full of ridicule. Oh, I did not expect you to be this clever. Knowing you will certainly not be chosen, you deliberately put on a do not care outlook. No matter how well you act, it means nothing. Who knows whether you came here for the position of imperial concubine? Huang Yueli shook her head. Ari, what's the situation? Just telling the truth, it is so hard. Bai Ruoqi sneered. Continue acting. I hope when I become the imperial concubine, you will not be hanging yourself from depression. To hear her say so confidently, Huang Yueli was left in surprise. Did Bai Ruoqi eat the wrong medicine or something? With the current situation, she has almost zero chances of becoming the imperial concubine. How can she still be so confident? Huang Yueli probed. It seems, second sister is certain she will be able to take the position. I really do not know where your self-confidence comes from. You should be very clear. The Empress Dowager will certainly not stand on your side. The Empress Dowager? Bai Ruoqi coldly hooked the corners of her mouth. So what if the Empress Dowager does not agree? His Royal Highness the Crown Prince will understand that only me Bai Ruoqi is his most sensible choice. You can also listen on. In the martial world of Tianling continent, only strength was the way in all four great regions. In front of absolute strength, any other opinions were nothing more than fleeting clouds. When she recalled the past few days of grueling cultivation, bathing in painful experiences, Bai Ruoqi's eyes flashed with a must-win light. Her strength was not the same as before. It had reached a new level. The position of imperial concubine, it would be hers. As Huang Yueli watched Bai Ruoqi's receding back view, a touch of smile floating on her mouth. Her second sister is quite simple. She wondered what new tricks she has up her sleeves, able to give her such overwhelming confidence to win over all the other golden-spooned born young ladies. It seems like this game is far from over. In the Palace of Peace and Tranquility, it was already fully decorated and furnished. To welcome the various guests, it was adorned with numerous peach ornamentals. At each table set, there stood a vase full of beautiful peach blossoms. By the time Huang Yueli entered the Palace of Peace and Tranquility, except for her and Bai Ruoqi, all the other young ladies had arrived and were seated in accordance with the aid of the palace ladies. Third young Miss Bai, please come with me. Huang Yueli discovered that her seat was at the very front. It was above both the nationally recognized first talents Bai Ruoqi and Liu Yiyi. This should be on behalf of her cheap father's face. As she took her seat and before her bottom could even warm it, she already felt the jealous gazes projected from all around. Vaguely, she heard some whisperings. Huang Yueli knew that her actions today were quite eye-catching. From revealing her face to the Empress Dowager and now sit in the first seat of the crowd. From what she heard, this seating plan was made in accordance of the greatest possibility to become the imperial concubine. Since the emperor put her in the first place, it indicated that he was as the rumors said. He still remembered the promise he made with Bai Liu Feng. With greatly difficulty, Bai Ruoqi was knocked down. But the result? They discovered that the bigger threat was the inconspicuous and unsuspecting third young Miss Bai. It would be strange if these young ladies did not feel depressed. Under the various gazes, Huang Yueli stayed indifferent. Slowly she picked up a cup of tea. Drinking the tea, she watched the surrounding situation. She had become accustomed to the longing and looks of jealousy from her past life. Before long, Bai Ruoqi also arrived. She had just come back from Empress Shu's place. Her blood-stained clothes were replaced with a fresh flowery pink dress. Paired with a thick silk brocade and sophisticated embroidery, she looked rosy. Moreover, due to eating advanced pills, her face had also returned to normal. Raising her chin slightly, she looked cold and proud. Gracefully she walked through the palace as arrogant and proud as before. If they had not witnessed the past events, no one would believe that she was kneeling desperately and kowtowing to the Empress Dowager half an hour ago. As Bai Ruoqi walked closer, she discovered that Huang Yueli was actually in the first position. Her face has changed. She stared fiercely at Huang Yueli. Third sister, are you in the wrong place? How could it be? Huang Yueli blinked innocently. You rarely enter the palace, so you do not know the rules in the palace. Seating position are arranged. Not only would it be shameful when you sit in the wrong position, it may also provoke the dragon's wrath. Do not blame elder sister for not warning you in advance. You can also listen on. But I was taken to this position by a palace lady. I did not choose it myself. What? Bai Ruoqi exclaimed in surprise. How is it possible? At this moment, the lady in waiting interrupted. Second young Miss Bai, your seat is below third young Miss Bai. Please hurry and take your seat as the banquet is about to begin. Bai Ruoqi could not believe her ears. This waist actually climbed above her head. Does the emperor really intend to fulfill that year's verbal agreement? No, I cannot be. Even if the emperor holds this intention, the crown prince would not accept a waist as his imperial concubine. Thinking of this, Bai Ruoqi felt a little relieved. Giving Huang Yueli a glare, she said, there is a lot of pressure sitting in the first position. Since this is the first time you have entered the palace, please do not make a blunder, third sister. For it will lose face for our Wu Wei manner. Huang Yueli smiled and said, second sister, please rest assured. No matter how shameful my future blunders will be, they will not be more shameful than your incident at the peach blossom orchard. So the people here will definitely not notice. Choking back, Bai Ruoqi's face suddenly turned beet red. If this were a private setting, she would have long sent out a slap and sent her flying. She will let this trash know that trash is not qualified to speak such word. Unfortunately, there were many watchful eyes. She could not do this to her cousin. Ignoring her pig liver expression, Huang Yueli went to personally pour her a cup of tea. Second sister, please drink some tea. Do not worry, I do not have the habit of drugging my drinks. There is absolutely no problem. This damn girl really knew how anger a person to death. But doing so without a single obscene word. Bai Ruoqi nearly stood up in a fit of anger. But at this instant, the palace of peace and tranquility filled with the echoing voices of the eunuchs, inviting the various royalties to enter the palace. Respects to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. Respects to His Royal Highness Prince Yu. Respects to, in accordance of seniority, the various princes entered the palace. The numerous aristocratic young ladies immediately stood up to pay their respects. Almost everyone's sight fell on the protagonist of today's banquet, the powerful and noble crown prince's body. Dressed in a beige tunic, his clothes were decorated with 4-clawed dragons. While the crown princes stood in a handsomely tall and straight posture. The symbol of a prince's nobility and glory. In contrast, the other princes were all similarly adorned in all-black tunics and silver pythons patterning their robes. Like the moon and stars, it served to highlight the crown prince from the rest. Many girls held their breath. And not blink of an eyelid, they watched the crown prince and subconsciously displayed their most attractive posture. They hoped to catch the crown prince's attention to make him notice them. Previously, every lady assumed they would be unable to obtain the position of imperial concubine for themselves. But how they to know, a scandal involving Bai Ruoqi bullying her cousin would suddenly ensue. Not only was it severely criticized by the Empress Dowager, she might even be punished. This rekindled hope in the others. With Bai Ruoqi gone, then they, maybe could replace her. Closely following behind His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, was His Royal Highness Prince Yu. As always, he was unparalleled and handsome. Even amongst the other princes wearing the same style of clothes, even if he deliberately held back his charisma and pretended to be withered, it held no effect. This was not enough to cover up his unparalleled and limitless charms. Even though the ladies adored the Crown Prince, many also attracted by his appearance. Involuntarily, they stared at him. You can also listen on. However, most people soon realized that His Royal Highness Prince Yu was a wastrel of a prince, not a suitable partner. So they quickly forced their gazes back to the Crown Prince. What if the Crown Prince noticed them? They could not let the Crown Prince think they had two hearts, a superficial woman who is attracted to appearance. Only Huang Yueli did not give the Crown Prince a single glance. From beginning to end, she gazed only at His Royal Highness Prince Yu. She only caught a glimpse of him in the morning and did not see properly. Upon closer inspection now, she discovered he was a lot thinner. His expression more frigid, while a trace of gauntness could be seen in his handsome face. For a master of this level, Prince Yu is very sensitive to the attention of others. Huang Yueli's gaze on him, how could he not be aware? However, he did not spare her a moment's glance. He went straight to his seat, sitting down blankly. The Crown Prince turned his head, seemingly speaking a few words to him. Prince Yu Wang nodded his head in response. Lazily, he glanced at the girls under the platform, staying no more than a second on Huang Yueli. Instead, he looked at Bai Ruoqi a few times, revealing a thoughtful look. Huang Yueli unexpectedly felt a little uncomfortable at this. What the hell? Although the two had separated on bad notes that night, arguing into slightly disagreeable terms, okay then. It was very disagreeable, but he does not need to do that either. Not even giving her a glance, as if they were complete strangers. Just that day before, he undoubtedly vowed he would use his utmost means to pursue her. Every single time he saw her, those obvious fiery eyes almost seemed to burn her. So much she could not help but want to escape. So how did they, in a blink of an eye, become so cold? When Prince Yu looked at her with his eyes, there was no difference from his gaze to others. Of course, he did nothing wrong. After all, he was the rejected party. A stalker is not a gentleman. Pulling away to create distance is the appropriate move. But Huang Yueli bit her lip, not realizing that her facial expression had become extremely ugly. The just plotted against third young miss by who had kept her cool, was now trembling from anger. Her trembling hands nearly knocked over the teacup on the table. As she looked at Bai Ruoqi, she quickly gave herself an excuse to explain everything. Well, yes, even if Prince Yu had given up her, he still couldn't stare at Bai Ruoqi. Was there something wrong with this man's eyes? How could he like such an insidious woman like Bai Ruoqi? As a friend of His Royal Highness Prince Yu, could they be counted as friends? Of course she cannot allow Prince Yu to be bewitched by women like Bai Ruoqi. As Huang Yueli thought about this, her lips formed a straight line. If Prince Yu is truly interested in Bai Ruoqi, she will use all methods to stop him. There were a total of 6 attending princes. From the crown prince down, none of them had selected their imperial concubines yet. As the several princes took their seats, the young ladies also returned to their seats. I did not expect that 6 Royal Highness would personally attend today. It seems that today's banquet will be very lively. This voice was a bit familiar to the ears. Huang Yueli turned around and it was second young Miss Qi Tanger from General Zhennan's manor. The little trumpet who is famed throughout the capital for loving nothing more than to spread and discuss gossip. And because General Zhennan is a firm powerhouse of South Yu, Qi Tanger's seat was also at the very front. She sat right behind Bai Ruoqi and Liu Yiyi, coming in fourth. You can also listen on. Qi Tanger's popularity has always been quite good. Hearing her speak, the various ladies seated behind and in front gathered at her side. Elder sister Qi, you often go enter the palace, you must know these highnesses. We have not seen the world, thus do not know the situations regarding these princes. So could educate us on the overall situation? That's right, second young Miss Qi, do share. Quite apparently, Qi Tanger enjoyed the feeling of being surrounded and fawned upon. First, she looked at the seated princes and found their distance to be very large. Whatever she said would not be heard by them. Triumphantly she began her tales. Crown Prince Li Morjuan, needless to say, we all know he is number 1 genius of South Yu. Moreover, he is student of Heavenly Star College, a well-known genius. Plus with his noble identity of Crown Prince and handsome looks, it remains unknown which lucky girl will become his imperial concubine. Yes, the Crown Prince is really amazing. If one could marry His Royal Highness, even as a minor concubine, would also a great honor. When Bai Ruoqi heard these words, she raised her chin slightly, feeling proud inside. She still felt that she would certainly become the imperial concubine. So when she heard admiration of these young girls, she felt she had gained great face. The Crown Prince was such a dragon amongst men, only she Bai Ruoqi can match him. Currently people were not too optimistic about her chances, but when the imperial concubine selection results come out, look how shocked these people will become. Full of envy. Just thinking of this makes one chuckle secretly. Stealing a glance at her, Huang Yueli became all the more sure that Bai Ruoqi still held a hidden blade. After a whispering of praises, Qi Tanger continued to speak. At the Crown Prince's side, Prince Yu, Li Moying, did you not just see him in the peach blossom orchid? Prince Yu's grace is definitely at the top, if not for insider news, Just based on his looks alone, even the crown prince would be defeated by him. Alas, you can say that Prince Yu's life is quite bad. Turns out the taboo name of Prince Yu is Li Moying R. This name is very fitting. His Royal Highness Prince Yu looks really good. Several girls were fascinated by Prince Yu's face, sighing with regret. So what, are you willing to marry a waste? Chi Tanga asked. After listening to this, the girls immediately fell silent again. That is also, forget it, even if I become a minor concubine of His Highness the Crown Prince, this would still be much better than marrying Prince Yu. Mouth hooking slightly, Huang Yueli revealed a gloating smile. Do not think that Prince Yu Wang would receive such evaluation. What kind of will he show after hearing this? However, up until now she did not know that the man's name was Li Moying. The first thought she thought of when she heard his name was, he also had the word shadow, Ying. What a coincidence. But soon, Huang Yueli shook her head with vigor. What was she thinking? Why did she constantly confuse Prince Yu with Mu Chengying? Was it because the two people have similar eyes? She really should be more clear-headed. Prince Yu is not Mu Chengying's substitute R. At this moment, a trace of sneer hung on by Ruoqi's mouth. Third sister, I finally know why the Emperor called you to the palace today. Turns out there is a waste prince in this palace as well. R. Gee, it matches you perfectly. Waste, should marry waste. Surprised for a moment, Huang Yueli then smiled and said, are you saying that, you, second sister despises His Royal Highness Prince Yu? You can also listen on. How could I possibly put a waste in my eyes? By Ruoqi said as if it were natural. Huang Yueli replied with, that's fine. She was really afraid that such a fine man would be wasted by a Scrooge like Bai Ruoqi. Bai Ruoqi stared at her momentarily and laughed. Yo, look at your expression. It seems you fancy Prince Yu. You are also trash and he is a waste, a match made in heaven. I presume, you have many common topics. Huang Yueli lightly hooked her lips. I think His Royal Highness Prince Yu is a fine partner of conversation. Although she loved Mu Chengying, holding no feelings in that category for His Royal Highness Prince Yu, the two were quite in tune. Because in South Yu, only the two of them are the true powers. Scope, ideas, realms, all completely different from others. It was the mutual attraction and mutual recognition between two powerful practitioners. However, Bai Ruoqi misunderstood. That's good. You are still smart. Knowing your identity is not worthy of those superior princes, let alone His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. Quietly select His Highness Prince Yu so you can at least experience glory and splendor in the future. Saying that, she sneered again. Do not feel at loss, in terms of status and looks, to match with you this ugly duckling, is your good fortune. It's just your poor health. I advise you to burn incense after your wedding and pray you can live a few more years and give him a child before your passing. Otherwise, the latter half of your life will be quite tragic. The more Bai Ruoqi spoke, the more joy she felt and almost laughed out loudly. Just like she said, how could a trash possibly be on the list of potential imperial concubine candidates? Turns out she was here for His Royal Highness Prince Yu R. Obviously, her third sister, an untalented and high-status young lady who was here for Prince Yu. A match, a real good match. Not only did this damn girl suffer great misfortune, being a waste, she was going to be wedded to another waste. Let's see how she plans to retaliate, to take revenge. Just wait until His Royal Highness the Crown Prince inherits the throne, there will be more. Really too happy. Bai Ruoqi words were extremely mean, but Huang Yueli did not mind. She wanted to laugh, but had to pick up the teacup to hide the smile. With Bai Ruoqi's high self-esteem, she had always vowed to marry the strongest man. If she discovered the strongest one had been let go by her blinded eyes, who knows how depressed she will become? Possibly vomiting blood. From behind, Chi Tanga gossip continued. Where did we speak to? Oh yes, finishing with Prince Yu, the one on his right if the third Prince Li Mohan. The position of the third prince's mother is relatively low, she was merely his palace maid. But his was born with good innate talent, a fourth-grade talent, second only to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. As a result, his mother is one of the 4 Imperial Empresses. The fourth prince Li Moju friends with my cousin. His talent is not so good. The fifth prince. One by one Qi Tanga introduced each of the princes, causing a burst of admiration. Unexpectedly, apart from Prince Yu, there are several princes who are very outstanding. You don't say, such a pity. It makes one wonder just why His Royal Highness Prince Yu cannot cultivate. Yes, Prince Yu is really too handsome. Even if it were a second-grade talent it would still be good. Alas, you can also listen on. Although aware of Prince Yu's title of waste, that handsome face was still more than capable to waver a few hearts. There were still many people unresigned and still lamented. Speaking to this point, Qi Tanga suddenly thought of something. That's right, within the experts of the royal palace, there is also the seventh princess. She is even better than the third prince. I've heard of her. It is said that the seventh princess is also a fourth-grade talent, very rare among women. She contends with Bai Ruoqi for the country's #1 female practitioner. Yes, they are also very good friends in private, intimate friends. Qi Tanga nodded her head, and few people know that the seventh princess is dual attributed in fire and metal. What? Fire and metal dual attributes? Fourth-grade talent and fire and metal attributes. Many people exclaimed, seeming to be scared by this intelligence. Yes, fourth-grade talent and also dual in fire and metal. The seventh princess is already a senior armament apprentice. So, some people say that the seventh princess is the #1 genius of the royal family. Unfortunately, the seventh princess seems to be out of the palace for practice. She cannot come to the banquet today. Comparing people can really infuriate a person to death. The seventh princess's talent is too good. Seven princess can actually become an armament master, really envious are. The emperor arrives, the empress dowager arrives. The emperor and empress dowager walked in the front with several concubines following at the back as they entered the palace of peace and tranquility. The buzzing sounds immediately stopped as everyone hurried to get up and salute. The emperor walked to the main stage and sat down. Then he said with a smile, "Excuse the salutes, excuse the salutes. Today we should not restrain ourselves. Relax and enjoy the peach blossoms." The official start of the banquet. The emperor and the empress dowager sat in the first place. In descending order down from the emperor's side, sat the crown prince, the imperial tutor and the various princes. While empress dowager's side sat the imperial empress, followed by the palace concubines. Due to the simultaneous appearance of the emperor, the empress dowager and the imperial empress, the three harem giants, all the young ladies were very nervous. No one dared to talk privately. One by one, they sat on their knees and elegantly drank tea. They stuttered in fear of showing the littlest bit of inappropriate actions that would affect their evaluation. Huang Yueli did not have as much scruples. With a table of food, she very happily ate. This imperial palace's royal kitchen level is quite high much better than the cooks of my back courtyard. Especially these pastries. Not only are they exquisite, they are also very ingenious. They actually used peach stuffing. Not only does it look good, it also tastes good. I didn't come in vain. In her past life, she was the prime example of a foodie. She loved to taste all kinds of food. In order to please her, Mu Chengying accompanied her to many countries in order to taste their local specialty dishes. Eating delicious foods, Huang Yueli rose to a good mood. While the smile on her face became more and more obvious. She did not notice, a gaze had been secretly focused on her face for a long time already without break. Li Moying was feeling complicated as he watched the young girl eat and drink merrily. It had been 5 days since he was mercilessly rejected by that little fox. And his mood was still very low, as if nothing could lift it up. Originally he did not want to attend this peach blossom banquet, but when he heard this little thing was going to participate, for some inexplicable reason, he promised to participate. What was the reason for his attendance? Hadn't he decided to give up on her? You can also listen on. Did he not already say that he would no longer show or look for her favor? However, as soon as he heard the emperor was going to fulfill his agreement with the Bai Liu Feng and allow the little fox to marry the crown prince, he could not think anything. Jealousy occupied all his thoughts. No matter how many times he resisted in his heart, how many warnings he gave himself, he cared too damn much for her. This feeling, it was like fate, sunk deep into the marrow, carved into the depths of the soul. It filled every corner of his body, shouting out that this little girl belonged to him. It was like it had always been and will be forever. It was like he had loved her for a long, long time already. What the hell? Li Moying had previously convinced himself that his attendance was just to give face to his father, the emperor. But when he heard the little girl had entered the palace, his legs unconsciously brought him to the peach blossom orchard just to see her. Afterwards, he regretted it. Just what was he doing? That little girl's pink face, red lips, made her look many times more beautiful. It also moved his heart much more. Moreover, her complexion was quite good. A single glance told him she had slept quite well these past days. As it turns out, it was only him who was affected. When he thought of this, he really could not wait to drag this little fox out to severely beat her bottom. Afterwards, press her down on the grass and wantonly kiss her amidst the peach blossoms. In the moment of his impulsiveness, Qi Tanga appeared beside Huang Yueli. Suddenly awakened, Li Moying quickly dispelled this idea and indifferently began to leave. When they meet again at noon, this little girl still had no conscience. It seems that the food on the table is much more attractive than a living, breathing, handsome person. From her way of eating and drinking, this little girl held no worries or troubles. She was seemingly unaware how eye-catching her current position was, as many jealous gazes landed on her body. However, with this little fox's ability, she possessed the means to not put anyone in her eyes, but that did not include him. Li Moying subconsciously touched his face, a doubt once again birthing. From an early age, everyone said that he had a good life. Following master to the sect, he became a peerless genius above all. Any young girl who knew his real identity, which did not intentions or secrets. Could it be that those people were lying to him? Could it be, he actually looked quite pitiful? Hence the little fox's lack of interest. Li Moying's vision involuntarily fell on Huang Yueli's body again. Finished eating, Huang Yueli picked up the towel to wipe her hands. Suddenly she looked up in his direction. Like he had seen a ghost, Li Moying did not want her to see that he liked her, so hurriedly changed his line of sight. This naturally fell to the person beside Huang Yueli, by Ruoqi. The little fox's second sister by Ruoqi. He heard about her. He heard that she had always bullied the little fox and is also South Yu's famous beauty and outstanding talent. When he saw her today, not only was her talent not very good, she also looked very ordinary. Far too tacky. In particular, when she sat beside his little fox, she looked like a complete dreg. You can also listen on. However, Huang Yueli completely misunderstood him. Seeing Li Moying's gaze falling on by Ruoqi's body, anger clouded her mind. A fire nearly lit up. Li Moying actually looked at by Ruoqi. Many times today, every time she looked at him, he was always looking at by Ruoqi. What so good to look at? That he needed to look at her non-stop. To think that she, though Li Moying was different from the rest, not looking at superficial appearances. She did not expect he actually liked this kind of brazen woman. Too angry. Huang Yueli's good mood suddenly gone. Facing the table of delicacies, she no longer had any appetite. Putting down the chopsticks, she held her chin, pink lips muttering away. As Li Moying looked at her cute actions, his heart beat a little faster. This is not a misconception of his. When he met her today, the little fox really looked much more beautiful than before. Even her bodily aura seemed different from before. Sensing it with his soul, Li Moying continued to stare at her. Qi Profound Realm 9th level. The little fox was at the Qi Profound Realm 9th level. When did this happen? At their time of separation, the little fox was still a normal person who could not cultivate. What happened during their separation? At this moment, the Huang Yueli looked up to him. Unable to dodge her gaze, he met Huang Yueli's eyes. Slightly startled, he felt the little fox's gaze was a bit fierce. Was it because he has been peeping on her and was found? As a result, it made her unhappy. As the two people locked eyes from far away, complex emotions swirled in their eyes. After 3 rounds, the seated emperor gently coughed. Instantly, the palace of peace and tranquility settled down. The emperor smiled. "Royal Mother, this peach blossom banquet was originally organized by you, but Shen ended up bringing an entire group of people with invitations. I hope you are not offended by this." As the Empress Dowager's complexion was still a little bad, she had only just caught her breath. Not completely recovered. She glanced at Ruoqi and really wished to say just what happened immediately. However, this well-prepared election feast, she must hold on to this thought. Looking at the joyous spirits of the emperor, the Empress Dowager put aside those words and coldly replied, "It's fine. Ari Jiao is just feeling a bit uncomfortable today. I will handle over the banquet's hosting to the Imperial Empress today." It was not too late to say such matters when the time arose for the selection of the imperial concubine. In any case, she absolutely would not allow Ruoqi, that insidious girl, to become the crown prince's imperial concubine. At a blank, the Imperial Empress quickly said, "Royal Mother, where do you feel discomfort? Or do you need to return to rest? Do you need a doctor to examine you? Handing the task over this concubine, please feel assured over this." Empress Dowager shook her head, looking cold. "Reg wants to stay here to watch. Today, Jiao has seen too many doctors for today." When the Imperial Empress heard, she did not understand. However, she was very happy to be able to replace the Empress Dowager and become the host of this banquet. Because as her mother, she still wanted to find a powerful imperial concubine for the crown prince. But the emperor and the Empress Dowager seemed more inclined to the Ruoqi that waste. She was really afraid of their words would delay the future of her son. So now, this was a good thing. She will first make Ruoqi embarrass herself at the banquet, so that even the emperor will be disgusted at that little girl. This will dispel his idea of making her the imperial concubine. You can also listen on. Set on her idea, the imperial concubine displayed a dignified smile and slowly opened her mouth. As the ancient saying goes, as people face the peach blossoms, they reflect on one another. This year's peach blossoms have bloomed so well, and with all the ladies and gentlemen present, all who are beautiful young and outstanding talents. When this royal sees them, she is happy. She paused and turned to look at the emperor. It's just inevitable to avoid drinking. And from this royal hears, these young ladies here are all very talented. So it's better to take this opportunity to demonstrate a thing or two now. This will add a level excitement to the banquet. How does the Emperor and Empress Dowager think of this? Hearing this, the Emperor immediately said with great interest, "This idea is good, all will be done according to the Imperial Empress idea." Empress Dowager also nodded. This had been the ultimate purpose of this banquet. With these young ladies gathered together, after evaluating their looks and upbringing, it would be a showcase of their talents. The crowd of golden-spooned young ladies also immediately reacted, their spirits ignited. They had been waiting for this opportunity. They wanted to use this opportunity to catch the attention of the emperor and the several princes. The Imperial Empress said, "The banquet has just begun. We will be performing mainly talent showcases. Whether in singing, dancing, calligraphy, painting or poetry, you may choose and perform as you wish." Obviously, no one dared to voice their dissent. Looking around the stage, the Imperial Empress' gaze eventually landed on Huang Yueli's body. "Since we have no problems, then it will be done according to seating position. First is third young Miss Bai. What are you going to showcase?" Everyone's eyes landed straight on Huang Yueli, all a little condescending. Everyone knew that third young Miss Bai was a real idiot and waste, needless to say about cultivation. Even if the average lady learned poetry and painting, while she basically learned nothing. Wu Wei Manor deliberately gave up on this waste, hence their refusal to invite a decent teacher. But towards outsiders, it was said that this niece was stubborn-headed, with a hot temper. That she had angered a master teacher which they had invited over with great difficulty. If one were to describe the former by Ruoli's past experiences at such events, you could only use the word, tragic. To all other performances which resulted in a house full of applauses, she could not even perform the simplest dancing jump. God knows how many people secretly ridiculed her, so this time, they all assumed that third young Miss Bai probably will shame herself again. This time, it was shaming in front of the Empress Dowager. Bai Ruoqi could not help but smirk slightly. This little slut was up first. How was this not amusing? Do not think you are fit for this position. Currently, the talent show has been arranged from the first position onwards. Not leaving her the slightest bit of preparation time. Let's see how this damn girl will stumble. Detecting the eyes from all around her, Huang Yueli did not panic or show her nervousness. Displaying a sweet and gentle smile, and in the manner of lady, she proceeded to slowly stand up. Towards the emperor and others, she paid her respects. Your Majesty, Empress Dowager, Imperial Empress, Imperial concubines, and fellow ladies and gentlemen, this girl is Wu Wei Manor, by Liu Feng's daughter by Ruoqi. Since Her Highness has personally called me out, then Leah will not be courteous and perform first. The Imperial Empress accidentally looked at her. Her reason for calling her out first was due to past rumors she had heard about her inability to perform even the most basic of skills. You can also listen on. The Imperial Empress predicated that she would be highly embarrassed from being placed on the spot. This achieved her purpose. But she did not expect this little girl would be stronger than she imagined, and by 100 times. Looks sweet and pleasant, needless to say. Even her gestures, elegant temperament, were much more graceful and better than any princess. If one did not know this girl's history, one would not think she was a piece of waste. The Imperial Empress stared at Huang Yueli for a moment before laughing. Indeed, the daughter of Bai Liu Feng. A true beauty. So what are you going to perform? Huang Yueli gently glanced at the audience, her eyes finally landing on Bai Ruoqi's body, and her face lit up as an inspiration sparked in her head. She smiled and said, Imperial Empress, this is Leah's first time to participate in this talent show. So I do not know which to choose. I've thought of choosing the Qin, but I did not come with one. From your opinion. The Imperial Empress smiled and said, what difficulties are these? The palace is filled with all kinds of musical instruments and more. Someone come and find a Qin for third young Miss Bai. Taking advantage the palace maid's search for the Guqin, Bai Ruoqi lowered her voice and said to Huang Yueli, third sister, I kinda admire you. Can you really play the Qin? My sister, I do not need to remind that if you cannot play well, it would be better off if you don't play at all. Oh, I would like to thank second sister for her concern. But sister, I still studied Qin for a few days and can manage a few songs. It should be enough to improvise for this event. Huang Yueli gently smiled and replied in a mild tone. Under all these eyes and ears, both showed very decent outlooks. It made appear as if the dispute in the peach blossom orchard earlier did not exist. Bai Ruoqi lifted her cup and sneered secretly. This damn girl didn't have mental problems. Wanting to participate in this showcase this bad. To the point of selecting the Qin. Her third sister only fiddled it with for fun, but she was still not clear in her own skill. From young, she had never learned the art. Moreover, all the people in the capital knew that the best Qin player was her, Bai Ruoqi. She had studied Guqin for half a year with the famous fairy Wan Hong. Although she did not obtain too much, she was incomparable in South Yu. In order not make a fool of themselves, as long as Bai Ruoqi's attended, not a lady dared to choose the Qin. This waste dared to play Qin in front of her? Was this not a blatant provocation for a beating? The more she considered, the happier Bai Ruoqi felt. It seems this girl was digging her grave. She did not expect to regain the city so quickly. The audience also burst into an uproar. It can't be, if she really intends to play the Qin. Is she not afraid of shaming herself before the emperor? That's hard to say. Maybe she specially practiced and prepared to present it at the Peach Blossom banquet. What a joke. Even if she can perform a decent piece of music, but she is followed by Bai Ruoqi. By that time will certainly be Bai Ruoqi's spotlight. No matter how well she plays, it will all be for naught. Even the crown prince laughed. Turning to Prince Yu, he said, third young Miss Bai has really embarrassed herself this time. Does she not know Chia is very good at playing the Qin? Should this prince remind her? In truth, She is not as stubborn or stupid as the rumors say she is. She's actually quite a sensible girl. You can also listen on. After Huang Yueli's action of kindness at the Thousand Treasure Pavilion, the Crown Prince changed his attitude towards her. Seeing her today, she looked more beautiful. This incited a tickle within his heart. This little girl was also very smart and lovely, even with the beauty of the knights by Ruoqi. Each held their own strengths, so it would be great if both could enter his harem. Of course, since she is a waste, she would be unable to become his imperial concubine, but a side concubine will do just fine. A beautiful and brave palace lady, this would be a good story to tell. Besides, due to this girl's status of wastrel, it would be quite hard for her to find a good match. The fact that this prince is willingly to accept her as a side concubine should be enough to maw her to tears. Thinking of this, the Crown Prince's smile turned quite profound. As this scene played out in Li Moying's eyes, his handsome face showed a trace of frostiness. Dared to think about his woman. Li Mojuan, you have enough courage. It's best if you go home to wash your neck first. Although Li Moying held murderous intentions, nothing showed on his face. Lazily, he continued to sweep his gaze over Huang Yueli, as if he didn't care for her at all. In fact, he really did not feel any anxiety. What kind of role this little fox is playing, although he did not know what she was brewing, she would definitely not lose in such an insignificant scene. After the blank of many days when he saw the little thing's cunning heart, he still felt she is very cute. But he did not wish for that heartless little thing to discover this, so he quickly averted his eyes and lowered his head. Sensing that someone was looking at her, Huang Yueli looked up. Unfortunately, she only saw Li Moying's cold as ice figure. She could not help but look away in disappointment. Soon, a palace woman holding a delicate jade chain entered the Palace of Peace and Tranquility. Third young Miss Bai, this is made from water-dropped Paulownia wood. It is the best of the chain collections within the palace. Please look over and see if it is to your liking. Huang Yueli took it and gently wiped it. Gently she smiled. Worthy of the palace's collection. This ice jade chain can be considered a rare treasure. I shall play on this chain. When Bai Ruoqi heard this, she almost spit out her tea. This damn girl appeared to be very dissatisfied with the ice jade chain. God knows that this could be considered to be one of the best ice jade chains within all of South Sky region. Even several cities could not compare to its value. It was said that this chain came with Empress Ming Fei when she married into the palace. Empress Ming Fei was a chain master with equal fame as Bai Ruoqi's master. Only then did she possess such a chain. Bai Ruoqi dreamt about it in her dreams. Even a touch would be great. However, after the death of Empress Ming Fei, this chain had been kept within the palace, never to be seen again. Unexpectedly, when Huang Yueli announced she was going to play the chain, the emperor had taken it out. This is really too biased. Unfortunately, no matter how biased he was, an idiot would always be an idiot. The better quality the chain, the more it displayed her poor skills. Other golden-spooned ladies also widened their eyes. Looks of envy and jealousy struck at the hand atop the ice jade chain. Huang Yueli's fingers gently fiddled with a few strings. Clear and sweet sounds resounded. Raising a touch of smile, this feeling, she really missed it. You can also listen on. God knows how long had it been since she last touched the chain. In her past life, Huang Yueli was the continent's most famous chain master. Her chain skills had reached the apex of perfection. While ordinary chain masters could only perform ear-lulling melodies, her pieces all held a mysterious kind of skill. The heavenly sound, the once ninth realm peak expert Huang Yueli's calling technique, the #1 cheat skill of the Tianling continent. Her armament at the time had also been a chain Moonlight Beauty. However, the Moonlight Beauty was not an ordinary chain. It was something she personally created, encapsulating the spirit of a 9th-level armament. That year, its sounds had, without exception, awed countless soul masters. Who knew what the number had been? When she self-detonated in that icy region, she had brought along with her very own Moonlight Beauty. She wondered if it had been destroyed by that powerful explosion. Even if not destroyed, many years had passed. It most likely had been long picked up, right? 1,000 thoughts swirled within Huang Yueli's mind, her hands stopping in the process. The Imperial Empress immediately took the chance, reminding her, "By Ruoqi, why do you not start? There are still many other ladies waiting behind you to perform, please do not delay for too long." Huang Yueli recovered herself and lightly laughed, replying to the Imperial Empress, "A real master must first take some time to settle themselves. Otherwise the music will lack feelings and depth of soul." By Ruoqi secretly laugh. The sound is not high not low, just enough for Huang Yueli to hear. "Where did you hear that from you? You can lie pretty well. Who cannot play such tunes? Let us hear what you have to perform then." From the very beginning, Huang Yueli was too lazy to care about her. But what she said was the truth. If the Bai Ruoqi did even understand this, then yet to enter the basic level. Stopping for 2 more breaths, her fingers trembling slightly as she pressed softly on the strings. Then, uninterrupted melody flowed from her fingertip. 7 strings flowing, the sounds of the heavens turning insignificant. These sounds, like mountains and rivers, like moonlit breezes, like jade breaking, like fireworks bursting, almost instantly, it captured everyone's minds. Huang Yueli's slender fingers lightly danced as she was plucking as she wished. But her rhythms sway freely, gracefully and ever moving. In this breathtaking qin performance, pair of illusions appeared in front of all listeners. It seemed to be elegant and indifferent lilies slowly opening their delicate petals, lonely but aloft, emitting an elegant fragrance. It is a out-of-body experience, is extremely beautiful and awe-inspiring. As the song ended, the qin slowly came to a stop. But everyone remained immersed, unable to return to reality. Huang Yueli coughed gently and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, this song is called Hidden Orchids, one of the 10 famed qin songs. The earliest record from ancient relics of immortals, a true slow-drawn melody. If played with an armament qin, it is able to achieve an effect of tranquility. A pity this ice jade qin is but an ordinary item." Hearing her talk, everyone awoke from their dreams. As they recovered, their eyes fell on Huang Yueli, all with looks of shock. No one thought this idiotic waste by Ruoqi could play the guqin. Not only that, she had played so well. Fully embodying the sounds of nature, extremely talented. You can also listen on. It can be said, after listening to Huang Yueli's qin songs, all other qin songs turned into boring noises. Churning out songs without thought for quality, simply unbearable for the ears. God, so nice to listen to. I think I just saw blooming orchids. Yeah, too good. I've never heard such a nice song. To think third young Miss Bai could play the qin, accompanied by the sounds of praise. Huang Yueli remained composed, neither excited nor proud. She had heard too many similar praises. These clichés were too common. However, when these words entered by Ruoqi's ears, they were like bolt of lightning striking her from the skies. She turned pale. These beautiful words should belong to her. At each young lady's party, surrounded non-stop praises should be her by Ruoqi. When did it belong to that dead girl? Is she not an idiot, one who was horrendous at poems and had appalling qin skills? Just when did she develop such superb skills, taking away all the limelight? Even if Bai Ruoqi vomited to death, her own skills were much too inferior to Huang Yueli's. She had always been proud of her qin skills. Unfortunately, in the face of Huang Yueli, nothing was worth mentioning. The gap between the two was much too high. As long one listens, they would immediately be able to tell who attained the higher mastery. This fact hit her deeply. All of Bai Ruoqi's lips and face were a deathly white. Not only did she feel angry, but also very jealous. Yet she could say nothing. Her skills cannot match others, what else could she say? Even the emperor said very pleasantly, "You are the daughter of Bai Liu Feng? In previous years, I heard that you were weak in health, constantly recuperating at home. I did not expect for you to possess such outstanding technique. Amazing." Huang Yueli placed the ice jade qin down and gestured gracefully. "Thank you for the praises, Your Majesty. These are but minor accomplishments. Very modest. If these are minor accomplishments, then there is no more room for other performances. This is Jin's first time listening to such qin skills. After the incident this morning, the Empress Dowager's impression of Huang Yueli had rose greatly. And with this, she immediately spoke out for her. Although this girl's cultivation is a little bad, but knows that devote themselves to learning the art of the qin. Indifferent to fame and fortune, not arrogant and able to play such a good melody, the character of this girl is really rare. The emperor had always remembered the friendship between Bai Liufeng. If not for his daughter's bad name, he would have long decreed for her engagement to the crown prince. When he saw the girl today, he found a completely different person from the rumors. Not only did she look beautiful, she carried herself with an elegant temperament. Also playing such good qin, in the Tianling continent, a qin master is still very respected. The emperor suddenly felt very happy, deeply pleased. Finally, the daughter of Bai Liufeng was not a complete straw bag. Cannot cultivate, so instead she cultivate her qin technique to such levels. This showed that the girl's character is very good. After hearing the Empress Dowager's praises of Huang Yueli, the empress smiled deeper. Good, good. Really good. Come, reward third young Miss Bai, you can also listen on. The emperor paused, a little undecided as to what to give her. Gold and silver jewelry were poor in taste and incapable of showing the importance he placed in Huang Yueli. And to give her profound armaments, this little girl could not cultivate, so she has no use for them. While he hesitated, Huang Yueli spoke for herself. Your Majesty, Leah asks for your favor. If you can you give me this ice jade qin? Although the qin is but an ordinary item, the workmanship is too wonderful. From a single tonal sound, she could deduct that its quality was not that far from her moonlight beauty. More importantly, this qin was made from very rare water paulownia wood. This is a very rare fourth-leveled materials with the three attributes of fire, water and wood. As a possessor the flame spirit physique, with natural 9th grade talent in all systems, she greatly needed a multi-attribute qin as her weapon. Multi-attributed materials are already very hard to find. This ice jade qin not only was made from rare materials, its workmanship was also very well done. As long as she refined with it as the base, it could become a 4th grade profound weapon. It was precisely the weapon she needed most. Emperor hesitated for a moment. Huang Yueli thought that the qin was too precious, hence the emperor's reluctance. She was considering whether or not she would exchange it with some of her current armaments. Who knew the emperor would turn to look at Prince Yu. Moying, this qin a possession of your imperial mother, if you cannot bear, Huang Yueli turned dumbstruck. This piano a possession of Empress Ming Fei? Li Moying bottomless dark eyes fell silently and gloomily on her. In the moment their eyes met, Huang Yueli only felt her body turn stiff. An unspeakably cold barrier formed in her heart. The eyes of this man, completely indifferent. No longer carrying that compelling sense of aggression and the teasing joy of gentleness of the past. It seems, he is looking at a total and unrelated stranger. Huang Yueli clenched her fist unconsciously and bit her lip. Obviously, this was what she wanted. The two no longer held any ambiguity. Like they had never met before, each going their own way on this bridge. However, she felt too uncomfortable. How many years had passed since she last saw such coldness in those two peach eyes? Li Moying looked at her for a long while, but did not speak. The atmosphere at the banquet frozen for those few moments. Unable to stand the pressure, Huang Yueli opened her mouth first. Well, I'm sorry. I did not know that this was Her Royal Highness, Prince Yu's mother's item. Asking for it is too rude of me. I ask for His Royal Highness Prince Yu's forgiveness. This ice jade qin, gifting this ice jade qin to you. Talking, Huang Yueli's hurried speech was interrupted but a frosty voice. Ah! She was surprised. See Li Moying's apparently angry face, she expected he was still hung over the rejection. Huang Yueli made the preparations for his refusal. Who knew that he would speak and bestow the qin upon her? Staring at her delicate white face, he looked at her rare expression of shock. The small pink lips slightly open, bright cat eyes rounded all appeared extremely cute. It's no wonder she's the little thing that captured his attention. Unfortunately, it was too hard to chase her. As Li Moying's heart fluctuated, he nearly lost control. You can also listen on. Spending a great deal of willpower, Li Moying barely maintained his look of expressionlessness. He said lightly, "My royal mother really loved the qin, and certainly hoped I would keep the qin to find a real master who deserves it and treasure it. Third young Miss Bai's qin skills are superb and without compare. If this qin does not follow third young Miss Bai, I am afraid I cannot find another owner. Why allow it to lie in the treasury forever?" Li Moying's thin lips, the way he talked, all contained a kind of expensive and elegant grace. His voice low and sweet. Even if he spoke indifferently, it carried a natural allure. All the girls present, even knowing he was useless, could not help but involuntarily drag their eyes towards him. Truly the color of calamity, Huang Yueli could not help but secretly ridicule. She gently pushed away the ice jade qin. "Thank you for your Royal Highness Prince Yu's kindness. After all, this is the Empress Ming Empress phase. With such bad aptitude, Leah cannot accept this. If this qin were left behind by any other empress, she absolutely will not hesitate to accept it. Musical instruments are like armament, they searched for owners worthy of them. And she Huang Yueli considered herself to such a person who would be able to bring out the true ability of the ice jade qin. But unfortunately, this is the relic of Li Moying's royal mothers. If she accepted it, she could not help but always feel that it was somehow related to Li Moying. It is really ambiguous to accept the treasure left by someone else's mother. Even if she really wanted it. This world did not only have this qin, why accept it and let others misunderstand? Li Moying raised his eyebrows and said, "What does third young Miss Bai mean? You cannot put the ice jade qin in your eyes, so you are not fit for this qin?" Neither. Huang Yueli could not help but stare at him. This man's mouth is too cheap. This occasion, in front of the three giants of the palace, regardless of how she replies, it will be very rude. Why must this man push her like so? Before Huang Yueli could reply, the emperor spoke up. "Leah, since Moying took the initiative, then this qin will be your reward. When the Empress Ming Fei was alive, she did say that the thing she couldn't bear to leave was the ice jade qin. She did not know who to entrust it upon." Emperor sighed slightly, a trace of nostalgia flashed in his eyes. The Imperial Empress secretly bit her teeth in anger. After so many years of her death, the Emperor still missed that damn fock. It is unfortunate a dead person cannot compete with her. It's just this malevolent star, Huang Yueli. It was like meeting a ghost. Didn't they all say she was trash? Why could she suddenly play the qin? Moreover, from a single song, the emperor remembered that concubine. Simply working against her. No, she must allow her to become her daughter. The emperor did not notice the Imperial Empress change in expression. As he was immersed in memories of the past. It was a long time before he recovered. Today is really a good day. Moying will be choosing his imperial concubine at the banquet, considered to have a royal wife. Even the ice jade qin has found a new master. Leah, just accept this qin. From Zhen's eyes, you are fated with this qin. Listening to these words, Huang Yueli's back was covered in sweat. His Royal Highness Prince Yu really intended to select his imperial concubine at this peach blossom banquet. You can also listen on. Which of these women deserved him? Also, since the emperor spoke, this qin could no longer be refused. Or she risked enraging the emperor. If that happens, how can she continue to cause trouble for by Ruoqi and the crown prince? She could only accept it, then find an opportunity to return it to Li Moying after the banquet. Huang Yueli thanked the emperor. Holding the qin, she returned to her seat. Bai Ruoqi looked at the qin in her hands, with her eyes almost shooting flames out. This is Empress Ming Fei's qin. Which girl who played the qin did not dream about it? Why did it fall into her most disgraceful and hateful third sister's hand? Bai Ruoqi stared at Huang Yueli full of jealousy. Third sister, you hid it really well, but do not think that by simply playing the qin will allow you to fly and become a phoenix. Compared to the real martial geniuses, You are just an insignificant talent. Huang Yu careful put the down and smiled. My qin skills, of course, cannot be compared with second sister. I am waiting for second sister's show, for you will certainly perform better than me. I will definitely applaud you later from the audience position. White Ruoqi froze a moment, her face falling. If not for Huang Yueli's reminder, she almost forgot that she would be the second one to perform. Originally, such a talent show was her favorite. As long as she stood on the stage and played a song, she could easily obtain a full house of applause. The limelight for her only, no one could compare to her. Today, Bai Ruoqi has Empress Shu on her side, so she knew from long ago that there would be a talent show that banquet. Well prepared, she carefully focused her attention on water from high mountains, constantly practicing at home. To ensure her best display at the Peach Blossom Banquet and capture the eyes of the Emperor, Empress Dowager, and Crown Prince. Although she wished to become the imperial concubine, she must still rely on her own martial talent. But her performance will add bonus points for her. Who was she to know that her third sister would perform so well with her an ancient melody Silent Orchids and mesmerizing all present? So skillful that not even she could compare. Emperor also gave her Empress Ming Fei's Ice Jade Qin. With Huang Yueli past musical experiences and talents, Bai Ruoqi's displays with the qin turned far inferior. Truly too shameful. Bai Ruoqi but had always been renowned for playing the qin. But now, her joke of a sister revealed her true talent. What a big joke it all became. Moreover, when one compared the performances, the contrast is too strong. Even if Bai Ruoqi played well, everyone's memory still lingered on Huang Yueli's magical performance. Any piece followed would only birth feelings of boredom. They would sound terribly bad. What should she do next? Not giving Bai Ruoqi time to think of an alternative, the Imperial Empress spoke up. The second performer is Wu Wei Manner's second young Miss Bai Ruoqi. What do want to showcase? Replying to the Imperial Empress, Chia, murmuring, Bai Ruoqi's mind whirled in a frenzy. Knowing she could not play the qin, she lamented on what to perform. She naturally learned poetry and painting, but since becoming the #1 qin player in South Yu, she did not focus as much on other subjects. You can also listen on. Adding on the fact that she had not prepared anything else in advance. If she were to force a performance, she will certainly perform worse than the other young ladies. What can be done? She blamed the little slut Huang Yueli. It was all her fault. Like she was born to bring misfortune to her. Are you still hesitating, Bai Ruoqi? Are you not ready to play the qin today? I can that you brought your cold water qin too. Do not you want to use it? Bai Ruoqi quickly turned around and found that those words were spoken by the sitting third young miss from the Dingwa Minister House, Liu Yiyi. Bai Ruoqi's face immediately sank. Liu Yiyi is a third-grade talent. Apart from her, she is another talented aristocratic young lady. She heard that Dingwa Minister House had requested the help of an Pill Master to help Liu Yiyi advance to the Qi Profound Realm 7th level. This was to aid in her challenge for the position of Imperial Concubine. Moreover, Bai Ruoqi also heard people say that due to her quarrel with Crown Prince at the auction, Liu Yiyi took advantage to visit the Crown Prince several times. She was also seen shopping in the markets with him. Compared to Huang Yueli, who could not cultivate, this Liu Yiyi is her bigger trouble. Fortunately, Bai Ruoqi gained that bottle of spirit cleansing pills from Bai Liu Jing. After a painstaking 3 days, she successfully broke through to the Qi Profound Realm, 9th level. She first decided to remove the medicine smell from the pills. Then use this new strength to crush Liu Yiyi at the Peach Blossom Banquet. With her glares of jealousy and hatred, she will finally become the Imperial Concubine. Unexpectedly, not only was Huang Yueli not forced to her death, but such a big scandal had ensued. And now, this Liu Yiyi jumped out to challenge her. Bai Ruoqi nearly crushed her ivory teeth. In a sharp tone, she grinded out a few words. Do I need your concern? Liu Yiyi laughed. Of course I will be concerned. After all, there are so many people waiting to perform. If you dally here, neither the show nor allowing the next person to perform, you will just be wasting our time. Hence do you not need the reminder? So what? If I want to think about it for a while, it's up to me. The dispute between the Imperial Empress ears. She coughed impatiently and asked, Chia, have you thought about it Why is it taking you so long? Liu Yiyi, what do you have to say? Liu Yiyi stood up without fear, gave her respects to the Imperial Empress. Your Highness, Ruoqi is embarrassed that the qin prepared today will not be up to par. She did not expect that Ruoqi would perform better than her, so she does not dare to perform. Yi is courageous to say, since she is not willing to perform, let's not make it difficult for her. Allow me to go perform instead. Since the disappearance of Bai Liufeng, Liu Yi's grandfather Liu Yiyi became the new #1 master of South Yu. Therefore, Liu Yiyi had always been straightforward. Whatever she wished to say, she would say it. Due to her good family and grandfather's backing, people were helpless. But due to her inferior talent, Ruoqi was able to press her down. Even the crown prince paid more attention to Ruoqi. Liu Yiyi envied Ruoqi endlessly. So when she saw a rare instance of Ruoqi's shame, she could not help herself but to ridicule her. The Imperial Empress frowned, unhappy. Chia, are you really not going to perform? You can also listen on. The Imperial Empress did not expect for Huang Yuli's qin skill to be so masterful. Knowing her plan will not come to fruition, she became highly impatient. She just wished for this segment to quickly end and start the next one as soon as possible. Also the others turned their attention to Ruoqi, jest flashed within their eyes. The presence of knowing people, Ruoqi's reluctance to perform was understood by everyone. As Ruoqi's turned redder and redder, she finally made up her mind. Biting the bullet she said, I will perform, the qin also. I will play for everyone a water from high mountains. She knew the rules of the palace. Performing no matter how bad is still better than refusal. The latter option was to treat the emperor disrespectfully and possibly suffer punishment. At her wit's end, Ruoqi held her cold water qin and went to the middle. Taking a deep breath, she began to play. Chin raised, Huang Yueli drank her peach wine while listening to Ruoqi. In all fairness, Ruoqi expended quite a lot of effort on her qin. Her fingering had reached perfection, but she failed to integrate her feelings. So the sounds always felt a bit stiff. Without Huang Yueli's earlier demonstration, a layman would say that Ruoqi's playing is quite good. Sitting on the stage, Ruoqi forced herself to calm down to play the guqin with a calm mind. She must, at least, perform up to her usual standards. She will not allow for them to see any mishaps. However, the more she thought, the harder it was to calm down. Finally, fingers trembled and really missed a note. Finally completing the performance with great difficulty, Ruoqi almost fled back to her seat. Today's performance, not only did she fail to become the object of praise, she also made a mess. Did not even achieve half her usual level. If one must use words to describe it, it would be rotten. In previous years when she performed in the palace, whether in front of the emperor, empress dowager, or imperial empress, she would always receive a reward. But today, the faces of these royals remained expressionless, not expressing a single thought. The imperial empress' brow twitched a bit, apparently somewhat dissatisfied with her. She intended to rely on Ruoqi to pressure Huang Yueli and dispel the emperor's thoughts on making this girl the crown prince's imperial concubine. Who knew this girl failed to fly at the crucial moment? Even the applause of the audience was sparse, one of purely courtesy. Right after Ruoqi sat down, the imperial empress could not wait to announce the next person. Next up is the third young miss from Dingwa Minister House, Liu Yiyi. Liu Yiyi smiled and walked to the middle of the stage. Her belt done, footsteps light, she danced a beautiful arrayment of rainbows and feathers. Because this was right after 2 qin performances, it was hard for people not to become bored. Liu Yi's dancing skills always were famous in the capital. As a result, watching now it seemed even more refreshing than usual. It immediately won the applause of all. Sitting under the stage, Ruoqi almost crushed her cup. A dignified aristocratic young lady, what need was there to learn dancing? It's not like she was a prostitute. Such an undignified show, did it deserve such an applause? What made Bai Ruoqi more indignant was the crown prince's enthusiastic applause. Using so much vigor, watching so attentively that his eyeballs were almost glued to Liu Yiyi's swaying and moving waist. Liu Yiyi, that wily fox, even dared to seduce the crown prince. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli smirked in response. Ari, second sister, look quickly. Liu Yiyi's dancing sure is superb. Beautiful but not bewitching, colorful but not gaudy. Truly a young lady from Dingwa government house. This is quality. I also heard that her cultivation talent isn't bad at all. I really respect her. Bai Ruoqi was angered to the point of her liver hurting. Completing her dance, Liu Yiyi was filled with radiant happiness. She even sent a provocative smile to Bai Ruoqi afterwards. Zhenghua General Manners Qi Tanga, military family Jing's young mistress, went on stage one after the other. A blaze of colors, each holding its own merits. Due to Bai Ruoqi's first performance, they did not choose the taboo qin. Instead, they prepared other forms of entertainment. This would allow them to escape Huang Yueli's world-astounding performance. The only one to show a dreg-like performance ended being Bai Ruoqi only. As Bai Ruoqi turned angrier and angrier, she consoled to herself that this talent show was but a charade. It meant nothing. No matter how talented one was in this aspect, it was still strength that spoke waves. Finally, the talent show concluded. Not only Bai Ruoqi, even the Imperial Empress felt relieved. This really is a miscalculation. Huang Yueli's limelight was too big. She had to suppress down her glory. Fortunately, the next event was the martial talent competition. It was here that she would utter pummel this trash. There will be no mistake. Regardless of what heavenly skills she possessed, it would be impossible for her to stand back up. As the palace ladies replaced the dishes, everyone drank a few glasses of wine. Gradually, discussions about talent show subsided. The Imperial Empress wasted no time to say, "This royal has heard all of these young ladies are renowned martial experts. Several which are nationally famous female geniuses. Unfortunately, because this royal resides in the royal palace, she has no chance to see." Turning her head, the Imperial Empress smiled at the Emperor. The Imperial Empress wishes to experience this. What difficulty does this pose? The Imperial Tutor is also present, so we shall invite these young ladies to execute a move or two whilst also receiving the pointers of the Imperial Tutor. Imperial Tutor, how does this sound? The Imperial Tutor stroked his beard while laughing. This old man is also interested. If one has enough talent, this old one might consider taking them as his disciple. Eyes bright with happiness, the Emperor said, "That is too good." The Imperial Empress immediately laughed. The Imperial Tutor is our South Yu's fourth realm expert and his fighting experiences are the most abundant. Usually he resides in the palace and only my son the Crown Prince can receive his guidance. To the young ladies present, do not squander this chance. His remark made the entire audience excited. Unexpectedly, not only was it the Imperial concubine selecting banquet, the Imperial Tutor is even considering to take a female disciple. As one of the most influential experts, South Yu's countable fourth realm experts, the Imperial Tutor has always been highly respected. There are only a handful of disciples under his tutelage. Apart from the Crown Princes still residing in the palace, the two disciples he took years before had already left South Yu for many years already. That being said, the Imperial Tutor dearly doted on his disciple the Crown Prince. His action of accepting a female disciple is clearly for the Crown Prince. This would aid him and ensure his can firmly plant down his influence. Truly used all his consideration and heart. As for the young ladies present, there were very few who could see through to this level. But this does not hinder their eagerness. Set on this notion, the competition flurried. As Bai Ruoqi watched them one by one with her indescribable look, she could not help but sneer. You can also listen on. They are but second-grade talents, third-grade garbage. How could they possibly compare to her? They really thought they would be able to win. They were simply daydreaming. Whether it was the opportunity to become the Imperial Tutor's disciple or the position of Imperial concubine, they were all bound to be hers, by Ruoqi's. The Imperial Empress coughed and the noise immediately settled. Well then, this royal will announce the rules. This is not an official martial gathering, but a peach blossom banquet, so there are no strict rules. Everyone can freely pick their opponent. Of course, the challenger may refuse as it is all voluntarily. We cannot force others to accept. In the Tianling continent, the martial way is respected. At banquets, a testing of the younger generation's prowess has been a long-time tradition. But due its banquet setting, no formal assessments were in place. As a result, permission and voluntarism was a very important principle to abide by. However, to be challenged yet refuse in such formal occasions like so, it will definitely be a very shameful thing to do. After all, as martial practitioners, to cultivate is already fighting against the heavens. As a result, one can only move forward and never back down. If you encounter a stronger opponent and dare not fight, not only will you gain the despise of others, in more serious cases, it could also affect your future convictions. This will then lead to stagnation. Of course, unless there are special reasons, generally no one would go and challenge those weaker than themselves. This kind of pick-soft persimmon behavior, even if one gained victory, they will be regarded as a scum and with ridicule wherever they go. The Imperial Empress continued, in addition, please be sure to pay attention, as this contest is a friendly trade. Be careful to not cause any casualties. After all, we are young ladies from South Yu's noble houses. It would not serve well to break any good relationships. These the few routine explanations taking up a teacup's worth of time, the remainder was left for the displays for these young ladies. After a moment, a petite round-faced girl stood out and bowed down deeply. She then said, I am the daughter of the Minister of Revenue, Wen Shangshu, Wen Xiaowan. My cultivation is the Qi Profound Realm 4th level. I wish to challenge my cousin family, Xiezhong family's second young miss, Xieling. The Imperial Empress nodded her head. Xieling heard this and immediately stood up to begin the battle. In the open ground in front of the Palace of Peace and Tranquility, an enclosed area had already been set up for the bouts of these golden-spooned young ladies. At the edge of the venue were numerous golden-scaled guards hidden along the sides, ready to rush in the event of uncontrolled circumstances. Stopping all battles immediately. The two girls gave the courtesy pre-battle movements and began to move. You go I come, appearing to be very lively. However, in the eyes of the audience, this sort of test was quite a bore. Wen Xiaowan and Xieling are second-grade talents, both at the Qi Profound Realm 4th level. And amongst these young ladies, they were ranked in the middle. Moreover, the two had special or unique martial skills for everyone to watch. Their moves were also very cautious in fear of injuring the other side. This caused a complete lack of excitement. Soon, Wen Xiaowan gained the upper hand and earned her victory. Below the stage, there was sparse applause. However, the two girls also did not mind. With their cultivation, they knew it would be impossible for them to catch the eye of the Imperial Tutor. And it is equally impossible to become the Crown Prince's Imperial concubine. But there are so many other princes who will select their Imperial concubines. You can also listen on. Apart from the Imperial and main concubine, the Crown Prince still needed to select 4 other side concubines. Originally, none of the ladies present possessed anything outstanding or eye-catching. But the current battles gave them the opportunity to leave a small spark of interest in the various princes. Who knows, maybe their battles captured the attention of a certain prince. With someone paving the way, each of the young ladies began to step up and showcase their talents. Amongst the show, there were a few cases of secular and hidden martial skills appearing. This aroused the interest of the Imperial Tutor and obtained the bestowals of the Imperial Empress. There were even a few golden-spooned young ladies who cultivated agility and speed-related techniques, so their moves and strikes appeared like extremely graceful and elegant dances. Extremely pleasing and attention-grabbing. Very quickly, almost every single young lady had stepped up for a challenge. There were only 3 people who had yet to step onto the stage. They haven't even moved their bottoms from the beginning till now. These 3 people were the seeded competitors of the Peach Blossom Banquet. The top 3 candidates were Huang Yueli, by Ruoqi, and Liu Yiyi. These three, each one was a heavyweight character. Furthermore, they all held extremely high chances of becoming the next Imperial Empress. None of these competitors had moved an inch, and displayed no intention of battling. The only reason why no one challenged Huang Yueli was due to her status as a wastrel. To challenge her, they did not have that much face to lose. While the issue of battling by Ruoqi and Liu Yiyi, not enough courage, who didn't know by Ruoqi as the #1 female cultivator of South Yu, the only 4th grade talent. And with her natural talent and hard work, she had already reached the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm at the tender age of 15, while Liu Yiyi was only second to the by Ruoqi, another talent. 6th level of the Qi Profound Realm at 16 years. As a powerhouse, she also cultivated the Liu family's secret art, Gale Blades. This profound skill was something the Liu ancestor, a 4th realm expert, had handed down to his family. Its power was no laughing matter. As a result, Liu Yiyi was considered to the 2nd most powerful female cultivator after by Ruoqi. With identities such as these relatively talented golden-spooned young ladies could only look from afar. Who held enough courage to challenge them? After all, as daughters of these influential families, their only goal was to display their talents and obtain the good graces of the Imperial Empress. They had no need to risk their lives. It was simply not worth it. After the other golden-spooned young ladies left the stage, quite some time lapsed by before the next challenge was issued. The entire palace of peace and tranquility settled down. Everyone's gaze traveled and inspected the direction of the sound, by Ruoqi and Liu Yi's side. Of these 3 people, apart from the trash 3rd young miss, the challengers would naturally be the remaining 2. Of these 2, either by Ruoqi or Liu Yiyi had made the decision to enter the field. As for their desired opponent, it would definitely be a battle between the 2. This would a true battle between the dragon and tiger, the #1 and 2 ladies of South Yu battling for their honor and the position of Crown Prince's imperial concubine. As one imagined the scene, emotions welled up inside their heart. Was the question now lay in, who was the one that issued the challenge? And who would be the challenged one? Of the 2 people, it was finally Liu Yiyi who stood and walked to the center of the battle stage. Your Imperial Highness, Imperial Empress, my Dingwa House's 3rd young Miss Liu Yiyi, 3rd grade talent had the fortune to break through to the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm 7 days prior. I wish to the challenge Wu Wei Manor's 2nd young miss by Ruoqi. As the words left her mouth, quite a few spectators spilled their cups of wine. Qi Profound Realm 7th level. Liu Yiyi actually reached the Qi Profound Realm 7th level? How could this be? She is only a 3rd grade talent. How could she possibly cultivate this fast? You can also listen on. This you don't know? From what I hear, Dingwa House has recently invited the assistance of Power's alchemist and specially asked him to refine a few pills to assist Liu Yiyi. Only then was she able to advance to the Qi Profound Realm 7th level. From what I remember, Bai Ruoqi is also at the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm. Since this is the case, Liu Yiyi and Bai Ruoqi have the same cultivation. That's right. Liu Yiyi really hid it deeply. If she is able to defeat Bai Ruoqi this time, it would truly become an astonishing affair. As Liu Yiyi listened to the envious and admiration-filled discussions around her, she could no longer conceal the smile on her face. In the past, her position in the hearts of others had always been 2nd place. No matter how much she strived or how hard she worked to become strong, Bai Ruoqi was always a step ahead. Now her cultivation had caught up to Bai Ruoqi. Furthermore, she held her family's Gale's Blades, a killing ace within her grasp. For 2 people of the same cultivation, with her arsenal, her winning chances are much higher than Bai Ruoqi. She definitely could defeat Bai Ruoqi today and snatch the seat of Imperial Concubine. Liu Yiyi could practically see victory in front of her, defeated Bai Ruoqi and elevating the respect the Crown Princes held for her to a whole new level. Raising her eyebrow, she laughed at Bai Ruoqi. Bai Ruoqi, do you dare accept? If you are afraid of losing face, you may refuse. After all, Her Highness did say these battles are all about free will. Bai Ruoqi nearly laughed out loud. After bottling up so much anger today, she finally had an opportunity to let it all out. Since Liu Yiyi delivered herself to her doors, then naturally she would not refuse. As long as she was able to showcase her prowess to everyone on sight and suppress Liu Yiyi, no matter how bad of an impression the Empress Dowager held of her, it would have no effect. This is the power of strength. In a straightforward manner, Ruoqi rose from her seat and replied, Liu Yiyi, did you really think that your promotion to the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm is enough to pose a threat to me? Liu Yiyi replied in a tone that implied she held confidence in her victory. We shall see once I try. What? You do not dare. Why would I not dare? Humph. Today I will show you just how large of a difference there is between a 4th grade talent and 3rd grade talent. In the battle space, the two parties faced each other. Before the battle could even commence, fire and lightning erupted from their eyes. As soon as the Imperial Empress said the word begin, Liu Yiyi could not wait but to attack first. Furthermore, her first move was her family's skill, Gale Blade. Gasps erupted from all around. Ah, so this is Gale Blades. From what I hear, it is a black level lower grade profound skill. So amazing. From the recounts, Gale Blade has the ability to seriously injure an opponent one small level above them. Previously, Ruoqi possessed a higher cultivation and could still resist. But now with the same cultivations, how will Ruoqi defend against this? Such a powerful move. If it were me, I would have been sent flying already. Even the emperor couldn't help himself but cry out, this girl Liu Yiyi is really not simple. As the number female cultivator, Ruoqi might have to give her title away. Just as Liu Yiyi's execution was swift as lightning, all her attention and powerful focused on this one move. She made her decision. She was determined to knock down Ruoqi with his one move and win cleanly. As the incoming Gale Blades brought an imposing rush of profound qi, it rushed and enveloped Ruoqi. Quite clearly, Liu Yiyi used all her efforts for this one move. Just as this 1,000-pound might was about land, Ruoqi actually laughed out crisply. Liu Yiyi, you did not think that you could rely on this measly Gale Blade to defeat me? You can also listen on. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.